Maxie,
Hello.
what up? Shata Max.
Just an hour late. Just 1 hour
Yep.
late.
You know what? You are just like JQ. You cannot keep time.
Yeah.
You're late. You have one word answers. He has trained you well. It must be a Finnish thing.
I don't know. I think it's not really a JQ thing because I think me and JQ are late, but in a very different way,
Oh, geez. Now you're going to try to justify your lateness, your
No, I think
tardiness.
mine is just like I overestimate or underestimate the time it takes to do things. But he's just thinks that what he's doing is more important, That's the difference.
That's true. Just like I have to watermelon seed you, and I was virtually watermelon seeding you on your first ever podcast, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But before we do that, happy Thanksgiving, everybody's Thanksgiving. We're at Mills Pond. I'm at Mills Pond. Max is in Finland, and we're recording out of the studio, the mobile studio here. And you know what? We're going to drop that intro, and then we're going to get into this. We got a lot to talk about today.
Nitro is the glory, but e-buggy pays the bills. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast. Get ready for some serious bench racing. But be warned, we speak our minds, express our thoughts, and sometimes things can get a little rowdy.
Hate, and he just was influenced by the hate coming from the left, the hate coming from the right.
And let's get back to more club racing and less of this grabbing racing.
It's hard not to be arrogant when you're always right.
See what I mean? That's exactly why people call you arrogant, Max.
You may not agree with everything we say, but it's definitely worth a listen.
And our pick, can you stop whatever you're doing?
Join your host, Lefty the Great, with co-hosts and guests as they get together to chat RC.
Hey, after that race that I watched this morning, I have to talk about it.
Here we go. $100 right here, $100 throw. Oh no! I like this.
Yes, indeed. Nitro's glory, but e-buggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 304 of the No Name RC podcast. I'm your host, Keenan White, a.k.a. Left the Great. And to my virtual left is the professor of everything. Now up a host. No longer a co-host. You are a podcaster now. After your first,
I'm a real
first ever podcast.
Yeah.
That's right. You are Max Rogan.
Yeah, I'm now Rogan.
Max Rogan.
I'm gonna sell out for Spotify and then just start, going down the grift pipeline. Who knows? One day I might be speaking to, Baron Trump or whoever, his kids are.
I know nothing about all of that. All I know is that it's good to have you back on for show 304. Congratulations to you and Will doing your first ever solo podcast last week. I can't believe it's been three.
It was solo hosting, I guess, but
yeah, you was the premier host and he was co-host.
Yeah.
So it was good. I thought it was good. Lots of tangents, but where are the tangents? We're going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
On our catch up. But we want to thank you guys. It's been good. We haven't recorded for almost a month now, so it's good to be behind the mic. We've been kind of pushing this away. It's Thanksgiving Day here at Mills Pond. We are, we're Florida. We're here for the Florida RC Championships round here. I got her Wednesday morning, I think. Wednesday sometime. So I've been here since yesterday. I know you guys heard a little noise in the background. That's the AC in the camper. It's a little warm here. So I will mute that when possible. Anyway, let's stop all the jibber jabbering. Let's get into saying some thank yous and shout outs. We're coming up on 2025. I have to say, if you're a company, you like what we're doing here at the NNRC, shoot us a DM. We got our documents ready. We want to get you advertising here. We got plans for long-term, big companies, small companies, whatever. We'll figure it out. We'll work it out. Race promotion, all that type of stuff. Send us a message. If you think this is a platform you would like to advertise on or promote your product. We do product releases. shoot us a message. We will work with you. We're looking to do some cool things in 2025, and we need the support of these companies to do it. But with that said, I'd like to say thank you to these companies who have been with us for quite some time and continue to support us. They are Invisible Speed, High Tech RC, Hot Race Tires, Corsa Tech USA, Sidewinder Fuel, Mayako, Beach RC, Tekno RC, Clinic RC, Racecraft USA, and of course, a big shout out to the Elite RC Productions team. If you would like to support those companies and support the podcast, we have links for that. We have some affiliate links, we have some coupon codes, all of that in the written description of the podcast. Also, a big shout out to our official No Name RC podcast drivers. We have David Runafalk, Robert Badier, Alexander Hagberg, Maddie G, Pecco Evening, Una Hotman. We're going to talk about a lot about Una. Very impressed with Una at the Florida Carpet Championships. And Mason Fuller, who I got to see twice because he was at the Exalt race last weekend. And a big shout out to our first indoctrinate member of the NNRC Youth Squad. I don't know where I'm going with this, but a big shout out to Mason Patterson, who I met at AMS. We're going to figure out how we're going to promote that. And I promote the youth with the AMS. I'm sorry, with the No Name RC podcast, NNRC Youth Squad. There's a whole bunch of birthdays and all that stuff that happened. All I can say is happy Thanksgiving to all my American listeners out there. I hope you guys have a safe. By the time you listen to this, Thanksgiving's going to be over. Unless you're a patron, then you'll probably hear it the day after Thanksgiving, or NNRC member. If you want to support the podcast, you can do that. Links for that in the written description of the podcast. But we thank you guys for your support. And you enjoy your day of thanks, and eat lots of turkey, watch football, drink beer, and be merry. All right, Max. Yeah, we don't have any shout outs or anything like that because it's just been a long weekend. And we'll just keep on keep the train going here. With that said, don't forget about Invisible Speed. Keep on scrolling. They're doing some cool things. I see some youth programs and stuff. I saw that they posted that on Instagram. Go check them out at invisiblespeed.net. That wasn't the stop scrolling one, but that's an older advert. There is no 20% discount at this moment. But if you want to check out more about Invisible Speed, go over to their Facebook or go to invisiblespeed.net. Make your speed visible, which Danny Paz told me I need to do after he beat me in our second grudge match last weekend. All right, Max. So, yeah, let's talk about that. You and Will hosted your first podcast. I thought it was good. It was all about 10 scale. You, of course, it was 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
You went off on many tangents. But I would say there were relevant tangents to the subjects that you were talking about. And I listened to it on the way driving out to Sundances last week. I think, and I really enjoyed it. Your rant was good. You kept saying if Keenan was here, he'll watermelon see me. It doesn't matter. Even if I'm there, you don't listen to me anyway. Will will get better as he gets going, and does more often. But the first ever podcast without me on it, it was weird. It's been 304 of these, and I've been on all of them besides one.
Yeah, I think it was the starting was definitely the toughest part because I've never usually for the first 9 minutes of the show this time I just kind of zone out, so I've had to kind of just completely improvise it. But I think after that when we got going, it did feel quite good. For some reason, we had some issues with the connection. We had quite of a lag there. So I think some people, at least some people in the Discord said that, there was the video was bad and some technical quirks I have to still work out.
Janky Finnish internet.
I don't know why, because I have good internet here. So I don't know why it is, but either way, I think it's a people always say podcasting is just two dudes talking nonsense, but to make it actually entertaining, it's very difficult. And I think it takes practice. So it's not as easy as people make it out to be.
Well, you have to be into it, right? And even though I've been on the road for almost a month now, and talking about RC and surrounded by RC 24/7. I am actually very excited to sit off and chat with you. It's been a while. Obviously, to our base out there that support us, we owe it to them. Like when I feel like I'm not recorded for like this much time, like I gotta record, you know. So because it's like I enjoy it too. I still enjoy it. So that's good. The only thing we gotta brush you up on is you guys stock, knowing about the stock drivers and all that stuff. And that's, I know you don't geek out on it as much as me, and I get to see it more than you guys because I'm into these races. But yeah, I would really like to talk more about the stock class and the drivers, because that's where the competition and excitement is for me and the drivers that are involved in stock. But you'll learn, you'll learn something from this old dog too, So I'm not worried about that. But I thought it was good. Guys, go check it out. Show number 303. If you're a 10 scale enthusiast and you like Masters of Dirt, it was a good chat with Will. I think you guys, once you guys start getting your rhythm and doing it more often, you'll get better at it. It took me a while to get better at it, to get decent at it, and this is something that's constantly evolving, right? I always want to be better. As for myself, I'm at my 4th race of my 5-week stay here in the USA. Obviously, I was at AMS first, then I went to Florida Carpet Championships. I did Exalt race, but it was like Exalt race and this race this weekend. I'm kind of just hanging out and enjoying myself. Exalt race was fun. I went to Sundancers, never been there before. The weather was great. It was cool. It wasn't hot. The track is great, like that really red clay. It was nice. Track was hard. I raced Danny Pass. I ran E-Truggy for the first time. Raced Danny Pass at E-Truggy. Dude, I'm not gonna lie. E-Truggy is fucking awesome. I love it. And I see Tekno just dropped their new 2.2. I want one. I just want one. Leave it her. And dude, it was fun, Max. It was probably one of the funnest 5 minutes I've had driving an RC vehicle in a long time. They're fun. They're freaking fun, dude. That was fun. Big shout out to Paul Cotu and all those guys for all their hard work at Sundancers. They're actually moving that track as well. It was fun, So here I'm at the Mills Pond race, which is a similar track. Maybe not as clay, still that same orange dirt, but more sand. A lot more jumps, a nice looking layout. I haven't seen any cars going across here. I'm challenging Danny Pass because he did beat me again. But here's the kerfuffle. Here's the kerfuffle here. So I did practice with an e-buggy the day before. It was good. My buddy Seth Payton, thank you, Seth, and he provided me with plenty of Coors Lights to drink throughout the weekend. And then Josie Padashaw, Joshua Vichudamani, Danny Paz, and everybody plotted against me at this last race, right? So I want to say a big shout out to Chris Romero and Gaines RC and Senflow RC, who had E-Truggy ready for me, complete E-Truggy. Even had stickers of it. Did you see the stickers I sent you? I should have them up here in it. I should have bought the stickers up here. But they had some stickers with like me, my face, and No Name RC podcast, and they had it on the wing. It was awesome. I really appreciate Christopher and Senflow for doing that. They didn't have to do that because I do it. If you get an E-Truggy, you have a body. So he got there. I had no practice on that E-Truggy. Never driven an E-Truggy before in my life. And Danny, so Josie comes, oh, Lefty, we got to have an interview with you. She's interviewing me for like 4 minutes. And while she's doing that, Danny's on the track practicing. So I'm there like talking my smack, because this is an ongoing thing with Danny Paz and I. And I see Josie keep looking over to the track. I'm like, Danny Paz is out there practicing with E-Truggy. I tried to file a protest, but of course, he has the RD in his pocket, so I couldn't. But it was fun. And you know what? The first race was a whole bunch of shenanigans, which we're not going to count. Second race, he beat me. But we're going to do like the World Series, best 4 out of 7. So hopefully we got a race weekend. We want to do some short course racing, but it's fun. Dude, people were into it. Like I was talking so much smack. Did you see my Ultimate Warrior wrestling promos?
Yeah, that I don't know what like when I saw that, I thought you had finally lost your mind. It was fun. I mean, that suits you. I think, that's you.
Yeah, I like that type of stuff. And it's just to have fun. And trust me, it is constant smack talk. Danny smack talks me and I smack talk him. But you know what? I think he's going on this weekend. And I'm going to do like the Boston Red Sox did. And even if I go 3 down, I can come back, like the Red Sox did in, I can't remember, 2002. But it's been fun. Last race is Fall Brawl next weekend at Lake Wakama, and then it's back home, and then it's back here on the 7th to do it all over again. And the 7th, obviously, I'm going to do SIC. Then I'm going to have a week off. Then I go to Beast of the East. And then actually, oh, yeah, well, a big shout out. I guess we might as well say that. So Elite RC Productions is going to be doing all the INS, J Concepts INS races next year. All the coverage. I'm not going to all of them, but I'm going to the first one up in Trackside, Wisconsin. So I'm looking forward to coming up to Wisconsin, having some world famous Wisconsin cheese curds, and getting myself a cheesehead hat, foam hat. So that will be epic. I can't wait for that. All right, Max. Topics of this podcast. Obviously, we're going to talk about Alabama Manufacturer Shootout, which happened November 8th to 10th in Coleman, Alabama. Dude, probably the best 45-minute Pro Nitro buggy main I've seen in a long, long time. And of course, we're going to talk about the Florida Carpet Championships, which happened the week after, but November 13th to 17th at Beachline Raceway, Cocoa, Florida. In Carpet World Championships, pretty much. Great race. So, yeah, we're going to talk about that. But before we do that, we're going to talk about some high-tech news. And that's brought to you by High Tech RC. They're also having a Black Friday sale on at the moment, so you can go to hightechrcd.com. But introducing their new DB950SW and DB950TW servers. The new brushless DB950SW is the latest addition in our DB series server line. All high-tech servers have been designed using our cutting-edge custom engineering, combining an industry-leading high-resolution, state-of-the-art ultra-response technology with a 32-bit MCU and a 12-bit ADC for unprecedented programmability and flexibility, along with the ultra-efficient and powerful brushless motor. These servers deliver significantly smoother movement. This powerful line operates on a wide 4.8 to 8.4 voltage range, allowing use with common battery chemistry without the need for adapters, regulators, and it also now has featuring the standard 25-tooth output spline with 3mm hex screw and steel gears for maximum durability. So check them out. I think the DB950SW has 555 ounce on 6 volts or 7.4 volts. It has a speed of 0.17 seconds and on 6 volt and 0.14 seconds at 7.4 volts as well. Check out High Tech. Also, check out their Black Friday sale they have going on High Tech RCD. And thank you for High Tech, who is going to continue to sponsor, be an advertiser of the No Name RC podcast. They have been a big supporter of us. Please go over there and show them some love. They also have some really cool chargers and everything going on as well. All right. So I think we should start talking about what's been kind of ramming the news here lately in the interwebs as we move on. We are going to have some silly season talk. This kind of talk is going to dabble into the silly season, but we are going to have a silly season recap at the end of this. But basically, the announcement by TLR, I'm actually looking to bring it up here on Facebook. Go ahead, Max, while I bring it up on Facebook. The announcement from TLR, please.
Yeah. So I don't know how to frame it per se, but because TLR ain't going anywhere, where you can be sure that they're releasing new cars. They've said they have a new vision, blah blah blah. But it a lot of people are getting the boot from TLR, including full-time workers, part-time workers, and from what we're hearing, also pretty much their whole pro team. But it's wild. It's wild, and it's like this mass exodus that like officially hasn't happened yet, but everybody talks about it. At Mod, it seemed like all of these TLR team guys were leaving. Then now, well, before we had the rumors of Phend, but now we have sort of, let's say it's all but confirmed at this point that Phend is leaving. And it looks like
the whole team, Tater, Phend, Schimmel.
Yeah. So it's not just a few guys. It seems like every single driver they have is going to leave at the end of this year. So it from from the rumbles and the rumors around the RC sphere, it seems like they are just stopping to do anything with professional RC racing. But they'll keep doing racing, I guess. But yeah. Now we have
All
the
right.
update. Keenan, you can-
Yeah. Let me have a read of this. So they say, hold on, sorry, I messed up. TLR is thrilled to share an exciting new vision for our future. As the racing landscape continues to evolve, we're evolving our race team program to ensure its sustainability, growth, and long-term success. First, we'd like to introduce our all-new 2025 Ambassador Program through Hook It. This program will let us identify drivers who not only excel on the track, but also bring value off the track, helping us grow TLR and competitive racing. We're also committed to 2025 to developing our new two-wheel drive platform, including the stadium truck, refreshing the four-wheel drive, and refining the 8X, which is obviously the 8-scale program. We'll sponsor key races and offer a six-figure racer payout program in addition to multiple levels of racer sponsorship to further empower our community. If you want to join the ambassador program, you have to race, have your race, included in the RPP program. Watch for applications to be posted in December. Throughout our 45-year history, TLR has strived to push beyond the traditional and embrace what's next. This has been driving force behind everything we do, from game-changing 8 in 2007 to pioneering the pioneering 22 in 2011. We have constantly forged our own path and reimagined what's possible. The spirit of innovation that helped us reach these milestones now inspires the bold shift from the traditional approach of racing. So, all right. This caused quite the shitstorm on the interwebs. Charlie Mack, the Trugoner, sent me his 4th manifesto. He sends me these Trugoner manifestos. It is fucking long. I can't read it out right now, but I will read it. I'm gonna have him on the pod. He's a TLR loyalist. Let's start with the people that have been fired from TLR. Let's talk about Todd Hodge is gone. I don't know if he left or got fired. Right?
Yeah,
They
I don't
did
know
let go.
about Todd.
I'm nobody seems to know what happened. I know Westergaard got fired during. Oh, there we go. We'll bring it up. I see you have it up there, Max.
Yeah.
So
We have Westergaard. This was just this week. This seems like it wasn't like, hey, thanks for being with us, but we are continuing a different way. It seems like they are, since Thomas left, all of these sort of people exiting and so on, it seems like they are just, cutting everything. They're just like, hey, the spending ain't working. We're just gonna cut all of the spending and try to maintain as much of the profit as we can maintain without it. Because from what Anthony says here, he says 2 weeks after I got hurt, they decided to remove my title as machinist, programmer, fabricator from the roster. Looking forward to what future holds. So, it to me it's wild. Basically, I don't think he even got announced that, hey, we're letting you go. It was just like they just removed him from the roster. So to me, it's quite wild. Not necessarily the way he got fired, because that's how it is, unfortunately, in today's world. But the way that everyone is getting fired at the same time, and sure, it might be that Todd Hodge left on his own because he realized the ship's sinking, but for sure, they are doing some drastic changes. And Todd being gone, Tran being gone, no talks of a new hire on that front. No talks at all, from what we've heard. Introduction of this new vision, doubling down on the, RPP, and then bringing this. What was it even called? Is it the ambassador or whatever?
Hook It is the Hook It ambassador program.
Hook It program. Basically they're doubling down on the RPP and bringing it one step further. So instead of having team drivers, they won't have pro drivers. They will just have ambassadors. And that's my take on the situation right now. But it seems like every single person who has been responsible for a professional racing team seems like they are leaving right now from TLR or being given the boot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to talk more about the impact on this on TLR and what we think in our silly season stuff, because we can talk a little bit about Phend. But if you guys listened to the last time we got together, you and I had a very heated debate about Mayako and having a pro driver and all that type of stuff. Now, as I've gone on and thought about it a little bit more, and by the way, I want to say that the social media for Mayako has been awesome for the last week or two. They're doing a Black Friday sale as well. So if you want to check it out, go over there and check out. They've got a Black Friday sale.
And
You get membership.
I also gotta say that internally at Mayako, there's been a big shift in the attitude of the structure. So I don't know, like where this happened, like why it happened just after our podcast, but I have to say that things have been looking good up from the inside as well, not only on the social media.
Right. So, on that rant, I actually had a guy message me. He's like, "Don't do that again. Me and Max are getting nasty." I was like, "Dude, Max and I will argue, and then we'll be talking about that subject. Like we talked about it a lot afterwards,
Yeah.
And where you even came to see my point, which was great. So now I'm gonna address back to your point that you was making about they didn't need a pro driver. I still think Mayako needs a pro driver. I know they're trying to get one. We'll talk about that maybe a little bit in the silly season stuff. But I feel that Mayako has also the thing going on with Joseph and Invisible Speed and that community built up in the Discord where they don't need one right away. Now, I'll kind of steel man myself and saw your point as well, where they can focus and get their products out. They're small enough to survive without a pro driver for maybe another year or so.
Yeah.
But I, as TLR being a stalwart race team in the world of RC racing since the 80s, and I personally feel that Dakotah Phend has carried that race team on his shoulders for the last 10 years, I would say. 19 years with TLR, he said. 19 years. I think, yes, you'll have your TLR loyalists who will run the car, what. They have the money to do this. They have the money to do this. The money is not the issue with this. It's the fact that the fucking pencil pushing twerps there at fucking TLR do not see the value in having a race team because they see numbers. And I understand that. I understand that way of thinking. I understand that the bashing and all that stuff is where they make their money. And I get that and I understand that. But they have completely gone from the roots of what established TLR, Team Low C Racing. And that comes from the pencil pushers, the guys looking at the numbers, and that's it. They have disbanded their fucking race team. Like I heard that the offer was like they would get parts and free product to use, and they have to make their contingency. Well, you have people that are making a living off of this. I think that this affects TLR's race program to, it's not going to be right away, but it's going to be to a point because those TLR drivers that drive those cars are good. Like the same point I made, are going to want a driver to cheer on at some point. Dude, at AMS, you know who pitted fucking pitted Phend? Camden Line from S-Works. He did not have any support. He had no support at the track. There's going to be no, you heard these people, like, what is the biggest thing we hear from these drivers? There's no support for us there, or no support. There's going to be zero support for these drivers there. There's going to be zero top drivers going out there and doing something for them so they can be proud of, which they had, because Dakotah Phend carried that on his shoulders. And Taylor with a world championship, but more Phend. And you know what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen? I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. The team that Phend goes to, which we'll talk about later on, is already really huge in 10 scale in America. I was shocked to see that at the Florida Carpet Championships. They will take over everything that TLR has in 8 scale racing. Everything. TLR in a year's time, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but without somebody out there competing for them and doing well for their vehicles, their stock in the RC racing world will significantly jump. Now, some people may say, what about Mugen? They don't have no top drivers. They have Adam Drake, right? Because I know my buddy Carl Vucinic, who is adamant that all the pro drivers are going to be non-existent at some point, called me, but I didn't have a chance to talk to him. I knew that's what he's going to say, but he has to understand that Mugen has a great legacy of in the 8 scale world, multiple world championships in both on-road and off-road. right? And they have Adam Drake, and they have the Killick brothers, who Burrock's going to be coming over to America more. They have Frankie Contreras Jr., who's going to be racing more, and they have a general following of Mugen Knights, right? Yes, TLR has the same thing, but TLR does not have Adam Drake. In fact, they fucking fired Adam Drake. You know? So I think personally that Horizon just looks at racing as the redheaded stepchild, money we have to spend, and we don't need that. There's the number guys are looking at that and saying there's no money coming in from this. Right, we know because there's an oversaturation, but there's no work being put into their race program or promotion of their race program. It's just, hey, here's RPPP. You know, Thomas Schramm did a good job of turning that around, but look what they did to him. I actually remember how we talked about the guys, the team manager that they hired and then fired. He was internal, and he didn't, or I don't know if he fired or left. He actually messaged me. I need to call him, Scott Kramer, and get the full 1-1 on that. I've just been so busy. So I think that's the biggest news. I think it's shitty what happened to Vestergaard. Unfortunately, that's life. That happens, but it's corporate, right? And I heard on Wheel and Trigger the other day, I was listening to Wheel and Trigger. It was great. They had Richard Saxon on, and Chase was going on about this, and I don't necessarily agree with him. He was like, this is why I don't want RC to get bigger, because it gets corporate, right? And I don't agree with that, but Chase is looking at an attitude from a skater who is a hardcore skater to where skating is now corporate and more, what's the word? It's been gentrified. You know, skating is popular. Back when he was skating, it was illegal to skate. He's looking at it the wrong way. RC growing as a whole is not about companies going corporate. It's about the racing side of things growing. Horizon doesn't need racing. They don't need racing. You know what I mean? They need bashing. That's what pays all their bills immensely. That's what they sell. They sell a bunch of that armor stuff and all that stuff, and that's great. But it's like they have one toe in the racing program. Hey, we're still racing. Here's a new car, but we ain't really too worried about racing because we ain't worried about funding a good team. Oh yeah, one of our most loyal drivers of 19 years. Yeah, we just let him go. He's been with us since 5, but no big deal. And that's where the disconnect will be. They'll have no connection with their racers at these races. And I don't think they really care where the direction goes. Maybe they want their racing side of things to die off, and then they don't have to worry about it no more.
Yeah,
But
I don't know. I think the issue mostly is that RC racing can make money to sustain itself, but it's not like a good financial investment. So Mugen is a great example of how just racing can give you a company that has a long-term, income and a balance. But if you've ever seen any pictures of the Mugen headquarters, it's basically a fucking hut in the woods, They have like a few people working for them, and that's it. It's very humble. They don't do it to make money. They don't do it to, have all the corporate tools at their hand and so on. So it's choice. Do you do it just for the passion of RC cars, especially race cars, or do you do it to make money? And I think that is the difference between, do you choose racing or do you choose RC, which ends up being just bashing. And I think there are ways to combine those two well enough. I do think Traxxas could make their way producing racing vehicles where it could be profitable for them. But even then, it would be very hard to sustain a full-on race team, because that's the expensive part. Making a car is cheap and easy, but having someone like, Phend or Runafok or any of these guys who can actually be successful, that's going to be like just as much of a cost as the car itself, you know? So basically, if you hire one of these big guys, you're going to have to double your sales with them from what the sort of natural mean of that is. So what's the return on investment like that you make enough versus like how much you have to make more with just the driver to sustain it? And That is the difficult part. Not necessarily having racing cars. So I don't think TLR is going to go anywhere. The RPP more than pays for itself. Some people will see the value in RPP. Like for me, for example, if I got out of RC, got back in, and RPP was still around, I didn't have any ties to any other brands. Yeah, I'd go race Sportsman and win and get my race for free because I get the money. It doesn't seem like that bad of a deal, to be honest. It's basically free racing if you look at it from that way. But is it like a company which actively like people who are actively interested in RC are going to take like, this is what I want to do? No, it's not. You want to have more than that. So either you need to have a car that gets updated, the social media and a brand and a presence that's very good, or then you need to have someone you can cheer on and like a proper race team. The car's good, you believe you like to win on Sunday by a Monday thing. So some people think you have to have a little bit of everything to actually make it work. I do think you can make it work either way, but you have to do it absolutely perfectly. But then if you do a little bit of everything well enough, it will work. That's kind of my idea of it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. But it's like you're gonna be like you said. I actually think the RPP is good. I like it. I've always liked it. It makes people accountable for their discounts, but I still am a believer that we need a pro driver, because there has to be some way that these young kids that are going to have something to aspire to if they want to be in this industry, right? I think that RC racing without pro drivers is going to be a very dull racing scene, because these, it's like any other sport. It's just not as big as other sports. So I don't think that TLR is dead and they'll stop selling those vehicles. But I think if they don't have any pro drivers, their ability to compete at these races is gone, and it may not affect things right away, but it will at some point. So it's going to be good to see. I know the TLR diehards are going to terribly disagree with what we say here, and some might. But let us know what you think in the comments about that. And we're going to move on to our next news topic, which was nothing too great, but Max has it here. I guess it must have piqued his interest. But basically, Schumacher becoming the dealer of the SillySeason ESCs. If you guys don't know what these are, let me find it and we can go down and give you a little sight of them. SillySeason is a Czech company with more than 50 years of experience in producing ceramic parts and ceramic printed circuits, PCBs, hybrid integrated circuits, sensors, power electronic modules, special electronic components for electronics, and microelectronics for many different industries. As the last few years, they've decided to capitalize on experience and develop the production of special modules such as ESC designed specifically for RC driving because they have a passion for RC. And Schumacher is going to be importing them. Now, we've been geeking out on these ESCs for some time here. I got to see them in action, obviously at FCC. We got to meet the people that make these were at FCC last year, Florida Carpet Championships. So tell us what you think about this, Max, briefly.
Yeah, so the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because the SillySeason has really made a big push in Eastern Europe. Max Gotzel, Bayer, all of these guys run them. But now this is the sort of first time where it seems like it's spreading outside of it, outside of the the Eastern Europe sphere. And Schumacher, when they pick something up, that's always big because they are like the biggest thing in UK. J Concepts, all of this stuff they distribute. And what makes it even a bit more interesting is that I also had another link there. Let me bring it up. Mattia Collina, who I guess he's somewhat of a Michal's on-road mechanic. I don't really know if that's true, but I've understood that he is. But SillySeason just during the same day announced that Mattia is joining SillySeason. And to me, if we're looking at this kind of seems like because obviously the number one brand in electronics, Hobbywing, we all know it. You know, all of these guys, run Hobbywing that are on the top. Bruno, Orlowski, and then Ongaro in 8-scale electric. Sure, there's other brands like Coyote, LRP is a thing. There's some other manufacturers like Orca and so on, and Reedy obviously in America. But the thing about this is it's made in Europe, as far as I know. It's based in Europe. You don't have to deal with shipping, getting stuff from China. No issues with the world changing or whatever. I think Schumacher is looking if this could be a long-term thing for them. And if it works out, I don't think it's just going to be Mattia Collina who's going to be joining. I think Orlowski would be following him if it seems like it's working out. So I don't know. I think this is a big move for the future because this is, to my understanding, one of the only Speedos or RC electronics that are, at least to some extent, made in Europe. I don't know how big that extent is, but so yeah.
So basically, what you're trying to say is you think that eventually that Orlowski and a lot of these guys are going to be driving this, and this is going to be a big challenge to Hobbywing in Europe and eventually USA.
Yeah, that's my guess because I don't know. Like, okay, my point kind of loses a lot of its value if it turns out that Elsaram actually is also one of those companies who makes most of it in China. But a big issue from a European standpoint during COVID was that you actually just couldn't get anything from Asia, be it China or Taiwan. You just couldn't get anything. And if there's a company who, in this sort of future European climate of businesses, is able to produce something within Europe or have capacity to withhold production in Europe or hold production in Europe for a long time, even if the contacts to China for some reason get bad, I think that on itself is a big selling point for them. And if it's competitive, the drivers are not gonna mind it that changing to Elsaram. So I do think they are trying to make a big push now through Schumacher and with Schumacher, because also for Schumacher they are seeing their chance in this too, like selling something popular to a whole market. I don't know. I mean, this is one of my tinfoil hat moves, but I do see the possibilities of this, or it could be a good long-term investment to sort of partner up with Elsaram for someone like Schumacher, especially. And with Mattia Collina on board, I think it's more than just, oh, hey, we're going to sell your stuff. It's more than that. It has to be.
Okay, well, time will tell. Time will tell. All right, I think that's it we have for news. We probably missed some stuff because it's been a long time since we did this, but we have to go on to some race recaps, our main race recaps that are brought to you by Corsa USA. Corsa USA is your one-stop shop for all things Corsa in the United States of America. You can now purchase Corsa range of products for your nitro and electric-powered vehicles and accessories used by world and European champion Robert Badier. Established in 2022, Corsa was founded by Adrian Bertin and Oscar Jansen and made by racers for racers. All available in the USA. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Hefty told me that they're going to be having a sale here for Black Friday where you can save. I'm not clear on the percentage, but you can head up. There's links in the written description. Head over there, check it out, and save some money on some Corsa stuff, ESCs, chargers, engines, all that type of stuff. So thank you, Corsa for your continued support. And don't forget, show them some love. It helps show us some love as well. All right, Max. So as you know, I attended the Alabama Manufacturer Shootout that was held November 8th to 10th in Coleman, Alabama. This is the 15th iteration of this race. I've been to this race now 3 times. I went as a racer once and team manager back in 2018. I was a part of the production last year, and obviously the Elite RC Productions guys were part of the production this year. This race is very unique to the race time events. It's capped. It's longer. It starts on a Thursday. The emphasis is on a better experience for the racers, giving them enough a plethora of runtime, control practice. We have 3 rounds of qualifying. There's a Super Bowl race, which was actually very exciting to provide a lot of good racing. It's a 10-minute race that everybody gets. So how I want to explain this. Excuse me for a second. Max, just take over for a second.
Yeah.
Can I explain how the Super Bowl works?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So the Super Bowl is pretty cool. I know I'd explained this quite a lot on the live stream. So how it works is basically when you qualify, let's say you're in the A group from 1 to 12. That's 12 people go right into the A group. So when you qualify, you can start if you TQ. So let's say Pro Nitro Buggy. That doesn't mean you start on pole for your final. You go into a Super Bowl 10-minute race, and then where you finish in that race, if you start on pole and you finish 10th, that's where you start in your final, in the 10th. Think of it as the last qualifying race. But also, if you're in the B final and you win your B final, you automatically bump up to that A final. Or it was only a C final anyway, so it's CBA. You automatically bump up to that final. That's one bump up. And then they have the normal bump ups from the C final to the B final, which is 3, right? Because I think it was 16 cars. So you can beat TQ, but it doesn't matter. You have to still win your Super Bowl race, right? And to start on pole. So that's an interesting theme. I think Lance came up with it. It took me a race to figure it out. So I knew it last year, but like this race, I kind of saw it. People figured it out. This race is capped. You pay more money. It's like I said, the whole experience is giving more runtime and a better experience. Obviously, we still had to go late on Saturday night to get people out of there at a good time on Sunday. So we went late, but it was good. I think people are finally catching on to the fact that you can pay more money, get more runtime, and you don't have to run as many classes, right? You can literally run 2 classes at this race and be comfortable. You get control practice round. You get 3 rounds of control practice, 3 rounds of qualifying rounds, 5 minutes each with warm-up, 2 minutes warm-up each round. You get your Super Bowl race, and then every Nitro lower main was 30 minutes, and there's double 10-minute finals for the electric lower mains, and then all electric finals are triple A finals at 10 minutes each, and then every single Nitro A final is 45 minutes each. So you get a plethora of runtime. For sportsmen, intermediate drivers, this is great. I know the pro guys don't worry about runtime too much. It's a race. But as a sportsman and an intermediate racer, it's a great concept. I remember when this first came out, we were very critical of these races. I've come to accept that all races are acceptable. I give Dave a lot of credit for sticking with this, because I know the first year or two it wasn't really catching on, but it's kind of stuck with it, and people have caught on to it, and people that go see what it's all about. Sometimes you got to go and experience it before you really know what it's about. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with the other races. I know you don't like the other type of races because that's your opinion. I've grown to love them, but there's room for both, and it's good to see this happen. It's good to see people understanding what it's all about and understanding that $50 more or that little bit of money more, don't worry about it, because you're going to get so much runtime, right? And that's good to see. We was there doing that. And what I like is the Europeans are coming to this race because of that, right? They're coming because of the control practice. They're coming because there's somewhat of a sketch. They can plan. There's runtime. It's under a roof. So this year, last year we had a good bit of Europeans come there. We had Canas, Battier, Pecco, JQ was there. Who else was there? Robert was there. Well, this year we had Canas. We had Burak, which I was excited to do. People were so excited. That was the driver that everybody loved watching. Every person that I talked to, like I was talking to my buddy Lucas, and he's like, dude, watching Burak, it's like that car did something wrong to him, the way he drives. And I was like, yeah, man. Even Dave was talking about it. Lance was talking about it. They loved how Burak drives. I said, well, wait till you see Barkan and Burak. get together and drive. And this goes back to what I keep saying, that I think that the Killix and a lot of these young European racers on that cusp of the next evolution of RC racing. Like everybody whips and does all that stuff, but what these guys can do with cars is pretty amazing. Borak had a good time. We had Joao Figueiredo came, his first time coming over to a race time event. With his mechanic, we had two guys from France, Nathan Tudi, who's not a big time racer, but he was there. Dude, even the guys from Nova were there. Nicola was there of Hot Race. The guys from Nova Engines were there. And I have no idea why they're there because nobody was really running their engines. But I think now Tiba's going to try out their engines. Tiba was there coaching some people. Oh, remind me to talk about Tiba in SillySeason. I heard something. Remind me. Don't let me forget. I didn't put it in the notes. It was a good event. We had people come down from the intermediate race and sportsman race. The intermediate race was good. We saw Dylan Raposo take the win, followed by my good friend Wilson Coward, who had a good weekend, dude. Wilson is an awesome young man. I call him the Wilsonator. He's like 13, and he is fast, but he is not very good at qualifying, but he's good at mains. And he came second in Nitro Truck. I know Blake Baker and everybody was really pumped about that. Congratulations, Dylan Raposo. He's from Canada. X-Ray 1 and 2 in intermediate. That was good. I bring up some results. We're going to play. So it was Dylan Raposo, Wilson Cowart, Patrick Rossiter, Braden Bruce, another young, fast guy from Arkansas, and Wyatt Wilson, Trevor Michael, Logan Paul. So I met the righty to my lefty. He's my righty and I'm lefty. So this is a young man from Tennessee. And now Danny Paz has a camera where you can watch the racers while they're driving. So you have a screenshot of the camera of the driver and you have you see their car. And I love it because you can see the reactions from people and you can talk about it. So I was watching Logan, he was driving a little weird. And I was like, oh man, he's using the steering wheel a little bit funny. So someone messaged me, said, no, man, he has a handicap in his arm. He was born with it. And so he came up to me and his dad, and they came up and we got talking. And I was like, dude, like just awesome young man. And I was like, yeah, man, you got your right hand's messed up. My left hand's messed up. And I just called him righty from the rest of the weekend. And he's a good fast racer, man. And that goes to show that RC's for anybody, right? And, like I get it. He's a little younger. He's in school and all that stuff. His dad owns a track. And he just seems like a good young man. I wanted to give him a special shout out because I know how it feels to not have a proper working hand and driving. And he's fast. He's good. So it was good to meet him. And we had the SoCal guys come. We had like Trevor Olin. So it's a good race. I got to see my buddy Javon Mallory. He's back. Mad Maddie Long. Do you remember that name? This young girl is very good. Very good. I've watched her get very fast over the last year and a half. She has impressed me quite a lot. Just had a lot of bad luck. A lot of DNFs, a lot of mechanical.
She's intermediate now?
She's an intermediate. And she has made a lot of gains in intermediate. Also met Paul Thacker. He's an X Games snowmobiler. Right? So he was like a freestyle snowmobiler from Alaska, but he got injured and left him paralyzed. But now he's picked up RC, still snowmobiles. Came all the way down from Alaska. He goes to like DNC and all that stuff. So I finally got to meet him. He's still sponsored by Monster. Awesome dude. He had his buddy there helping him out. Just it was a good race. It was good. I enjoyed it. There was a lot of good atmosphere there. The track was good. Bobby comes in and he goes, I wanted to make the most American style track I could. Like lots of jumps, supercross style. It had a good flow to it. I thought the track was good. We're going to put up the track here in a minute if we look at the Pro Nitro Buggy main. But I thought that it made for good racing, right? So I guess we can go over. Let's go to our picks because we were both way off base in our picks this weekend, this race. So you also have her Phend strongest venue. That's absolutely correct. This is a race that he has won quite a lot. Last year in Pro Nitro Buggy, Mayfield won it. But
Mayfield won it.
You had Phend, Feelong, and Mayfield. So you had one person in there that was in top 3. That was Dakotah Phend because he finished second.
Yeah, but you remember when we made these picks, we said that we're making these picks as if Canas didn't go because he's gonna win anyway. and he did. So we both kind of got 2 right, or 1 right at least, because we both picked Canas for the win.
Yeah, we did not pick Canas this weekend, and I don't know why neither of us picked Canas. What were we thinking?
No, because we didn't pick him because we didn't know if he was going.
Oh, right, that's what it was.
Yeah, you
So
remember?
I
Because we
picked.
both said if Canas doesn't go, this is the result. But I said
Yes.
Canas is
Okay.
gonna win anyway. So that I basically got the 1 and the 2 right. Only the fee was wrong.
So we had. Shut up, Max. I basically got the 2 right. Come on.
No, that's how it is. You can go back, watch episode 301. Was it? I can't remember. It was way back.
302.
Yeah, 30. Yeah, one of those anyway. Okay. I said it. Canas is gonna win if he goes.
Oh, he did. And then I had Fuller versus Fee. So let's go through our results. Truggy was Mayfield, Phend, and Rivka. Dude, fucking Mayfield dominated in that shit. Like,
yeah, he was.
But I will say this. Damn, Phend is getting 13 minutes on his Truggy.
Yeah, well, I don't know what the fuck he does with his engines, but the mileage he gets is insane. Makes no sense.
All right. So we do know a Truggy has a bigger tank. So I saw they showed, like, my buddy Gene saw his tank after his race, after his Super Bowl for his Truggy race, and he had half a tank left in there after 10 minutes. And not only that, like, this guy who won Sportsman ever, he went 10 minutes on his Dakotah Phend engine, no problem, on his buggy. But it was Mayfield, Phend, Rivkin. In E-Buggy was Canas. He was absolutely dialed. Like, he was just good. It was him, Killick, and Riffin. Killick and Tater had a comment together in that whoop section. They showed the whoop section.
Oh, really?
And they had some words. They had some words coming off the driver's stand. But I think it was 50-50. I think it was like a racing incident in the rumble section. And then, of course, Canas, he was very fast at this race last year. And I know he wanted to win this race last year. But, man, Canas absolutely does something that hasn't been done, I don't think. And he takes a second win in the USA in 1 year. Obviously, he won Silver State, completely different track, completely blown out. And this year, he basically comes over and drove between him and Phend. That was probably one of the best 45-minute finals I've seen in a long time. And
yeah,
it was good.
Yeah, but I have to say, though, because in reality, had it not been for the different strategies, Canas, he had it. He had it from, like, easily. But even with the pitch strategy difference, it wasn't really like the Phend he was on the back foot, basically. Something would have had to happen in his favor for Canas to.
So here's what. All right, so here's what happened. Phend was planning on doing like a 10-minute pit would not help you. You either have to go 9 minutes or you have to go 11:30. And nobody else was talking about going 11:30 besides Phend. And he was going to do 11:30. And he did 10 and a bit on his first pit stop. But what happened was that his headset broke. So they couldn't communicate. So they pulled a fuel audible and went back down to the safe route of 9 minutes. So that's what messed up his strategy. If he would have been able to do 11:30, it would have been very hard for, like, Canas could do 9. He knew he could do 9, right? But that's what happened. But Canas just did what he had to do, and Phend made a lot of mistakes. Canas probably made 2 mistakes that entire race. Phend made a plethora of mistakes, but he had to push. He's trying to push to make up from that fuel stop thing. But those two were by far heads and shoulders above the rest of the guys at this race this weekend.
Yeah. There's no question about it. But yeah,
Go ahead.
If let's say like Phend had 2-stop advantage, like he actually made it to 11:15. So let's entertain the idea of him making 11:15 pit stops. even then, the gap to Canas wasn't really close enough where he would have made it. So maybe, yeah, you could always say that he would have made less mistakes if he knew he was leading or whatever, but he also would have driven a bit slower if he knew he was leading. And also the risk of running out of fuel and everything, if you're running 11:15, would have been a lot bigger than just going 9. Because if we look at the results, the gap was, it was just, oh well, it was 6 seconds. So it's I guess
6.6 seconds. It was close, dude.
it's not like it's impossible, because 6.6 isn't enough that he would have had the advantage without the fuel stop, but it's close enough where he would have had a shot at it. Let's put it that way. And he did make mistakes towards the end, so I guess it would have been less than 6 at some point.
So I'll say this: Canas's program was on point, and he drove well, really great. That's what won him his race. His pit man, his great pits, his car was good. He drove well. He made very little mistakes. It was still a very close race, because honestly, we didn't even watch the rest of the race. This for 45 minutes. We pretty much watched these two guys battle. We're watching the race now. You can see the track there. It was a great design by Bobby. The track actually held up quite well because there was a lot of moisture in it. Had Phend's strategy worked, he would have won this race. It probably would have been very tight at the end, because he would have been. I think that with him knowing that he had to drop it back down to 9, he had to push a little harder, and he just kind of made those mistakes, man. And
he still had,
look at you.
He still had one less stop than Canas, though.
Yeah, but I just think Canas like I said, he just made 2 mistakes. There you can see Canas. You could see like the tension in his face when he's driving and how he's going. And then Phend is just like calm, cool, and collective as he's driving.
Yeah,
that section where he's coming down now, that little rumble section, that was so much fun. Guys were jumping off of that, going on. I thought this was a great race. No straightaway people were talking about that, but it worked out good. I think it worked out good. You had this off-camber double was super hard for people, and this little triple, I thought it was a good track, man. A really good track. Step on, step off into there. And I just think, man, Canas was on it in e-buggy. That's the second year he's won e-buggy here. And this is his second big nitro buggy win, because this was everybody that's a racer. The only person that wasn't her was Cavallari.
Yeah, from Americans, and as we have stated before, Cavallari, I don't count him as
as you have stated.
He's not an H-scale pro anymore, or he shouldn't at least be. So that doesn't even count. Everyone who was there from America. Sure, okay. Best case scenario for Phend, he doesn't have any issues. Gets to go 11:15, which I believe he would have been able to do in fuel mileage. He did have the mileage to do that. They come out of the last pit stops battling. When Canas makes his last pit stop at 7:30 to go, he's gonna come out just behind Phend, But then Phend has to hold Canas behind for the remaining 7.5 minutes, knowing that there's a risk that he might run out of fuel and all of that stuff, engine going lean. It's and I think it was a great performance by Phend. This is the closest an American has gotten to a European all year.
I knew you was gonna rub this in. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You can gloat. You can gloat.
Like, this performance by Phend has been the best performance by any American this year against the Europeans. So I'm not counting Ronats because there's no Europeans there. I'm not counting PMB or these. Okay, PMB Ronafog was there, but he was nowhere close to Canas or at any race to this year, to be honest. And what else? SIC, these races, they weren't European. So from these races that the top Europeans went to, this was by far the closest that anyone got to European. So in that way, if we look at it, it was an incredible performance by Phend. But then the reason why I have this sort of negative attitude towards this, from like negative attitude towards like, oh, well, it wasn't that close and so on, it's that if there ever was a track where Phend could beat the European, I think this was it. Like I think this was it. Because Phend, there's no way Phend beats any of the Europeans at DNC. Because he barely can beat Mayfield when he's in a good run. And this was the race where Phend should be winning if he wants to prove that he's like at least number one in American soil against the Europeans. And this brings me to next part of this. There was not a single big race this year in anywhere around the world where one of the top Europeans went and they didn't win it. So DNC, Silver State, AMS, all were won by Europeans. Sure, Ronnefog went to PNB and he didn't do well, but it was only Ronnefog, no one else. And I think we don't categorize him as the top European of.
Well, he finished second. He finished second at DNC, so that's also a feather in his cap.
Yeah, he did well at DNC, but like, because people are gonna say, well, Ronnefog didn't win PNB, but yeah, sure, it's a valid argument, but it's still like, if Canas or Boots or these guys went to PNB, I bet they would have been fighting for the win, just as like Canas was here with Phend. So my argument is this: that before it was all about Americans should come to Europe and Europeans are better on European soil and relevant. Europeans dominated in 2022, but if we look at this from like any point of view, it's not like the Americans have caught up. It's that the Europeans have gone even further away from those years of 2022 when we started to talk about the Europeans being better on the show. And this is not to say, oh, Americans, suck and that's it. It's just like there is clearly something that provides this direction. There's clearly something that the European top races are doing right that the American top races aren't. Because the direction is this. If it was that, both were blowing, shots at each other or giving out blows to each other, and it was like maybe Europeans are coming out on top a bit, but it's like as time goes forward, every single race, it looks like the Europeans are better and better and better, and the Americans relative to the Europeans are worse and worse. So clearly there's something that these two sort of geographic communities do differently to provide this sort of discrepancy. And we're going to talk about the FCC, and the amount of Europeans in the top 10 for after seeding was insane. There was like, I can't remember if it was 7 or 8, but pretty much broken, and Phend was the only one in there.
So obviously, I've been talking about this a lot over the last 4 weeks, and being there at the race and both races and seeing the atmosphere and all that stuff. And I think one of the things we have to put into factor here, and I'm not making excuses, I think that the European fast 8-scale guys are 8-scale specialists. Juan Carlos Canas is an 8-scale specialist. Ongaro, Boots, all these fast guys that come up like David Todd, Yosemite Sanchez that we talked about. That these guys, the people, the Parente brothers, they focus on 8-scale primarily. Where I think the issue is with. Well, then again, like you look at the Fullers, 8-scale only for him, 8-scale kind of only for Mayfield. But Phend does, and Rifkin, they do compete in 10-scale a lot. So their time is split. I think that does affect it some. And I know
Yeah,
people
but I
say, well,
mean, Ongaro is
what
the 10 scale world
w-
champion.
I
you know.
understand that, but he doesn't race. He does not race 10 scale on a
Sure,
regular
sure.
basis.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
next year he will. Maybe next year he will. But yeah, I would say that the Europeans are just like it's the results don't lie. I mean, let's look
Yeah.
at this 2024. A European won the NC, came second, and a European won Silver State 2 years in a row because Barufalo won it in 2023. Coming over to AMS, this is really like the second time the Europeans are coming over to these race time events. And from what I heard, like Burak Kanas says, he wants to do all the race time events next year.
Yeah.
And Burak's going to come over to some more races as well. And I implore all the Europeans to come over because there's good events to come and you can enjoy them. Come to PNB. That's the one that's the big one. I just think that they're just a little bit, and I'm not just saying this to respect my American races. I still love them watching racing and they're good, but the Europeans are just a little bit ahead right now. A little bit ahead. I mean, it's gonna be, and the thing about the Europeans is there's a plethora of other ones coming behind them. So it's funny because I remember somebody at AMS asked me, he goes, Lefty, you watch RC a lot. And this is a father of somebody, he goes, do you see the next big thing here? And I was like, the only next big thing I see right now in USA racing is FI in 8 scale.
Yeah.
And I don't, when I look at Europe, there's a lot. Like I could name, like Josemi, Parente brothers, Carup, if he takes 8 scale a little bit more serious. David Todd, very fast. All these European guys are out there hungry. They're out there putting in work, right? They're racing. And I'm not saying that they aren't in the USA, but I don't see anybody that's those guys' age on that level that they're at right now. Those guys are competing against top European guys. And why like a David Todd, maybe he doesn't make the final, but he's there. He's getting there. Josemi doing well. These guys ain't scared and they're coming. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to follow the direction of the racers in the USA. If we're going to see that, like, I'm still waiting for that young driver to emerge. Okay, people can talk about Joey Bourdon and these guys, but those guys, Joey Bourdon, Mason Fuller, I still have a lot of faith in Mason Fuller and all that stuff. But these guys are 18, 19 now. I'm talking about those 15, 16, 17-year-olds out there that are really fast. And I just don't see a bunch of them in the USA. They're fast guys out there, but I don't think they're on the level of the Parente brothers or Josemi or David Todd, a Carup, who was already a 2-time European champion, So it's just something. It's something in the water over there in Europe. Something. I think, you know what I think it is, Max? Because I want to move on because we said we're not going to go too long, and I'll give you a point. I think it comes down to the focus on one class. So in Europe, obviously, when it comes to 8 scale racing, it's 1/8 scale nitro. Yes, there's now e-buggies getting there. And it's the same in 10 scale. The focus is on 2-wheel drive. 4-wheel drive is just a filler class to an extent, right? Yes, it's serious at a national European level. It's serious. But if you go to a club race and all that stuff, it's not really that serious, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's also one of the things that benefit these drivers.
Yeah, well,
they can focus on one class.
I think you're right on that, but I do think like it's not specifically because of it being one class. It's more so because of track time at these races and track time at all of the races these guys go to, and what sort of that gives you as a driver. And so we had a big discussion about this at Discord, like why does this happen? Why have the Europeans stepped up so much? And those, like, obviously nobody can know because like it's a much bigger thing that can be attributed to just one thing. But one thing that came up, I'm gonna say this, I'm not gonna dwell on it too much, was invisible speed. All of the European top guys have the book. They have read the book. They have both versions of the book. Americans, not so much. How much can that actually affect? I don't know. And I'm not going to argue for or against. But for sure, that's a difference. Then to more like broad cultural differences in racing, which I think heavily affect when because we have definitely made big strides towards more professional racers post COVID. So Ongaro, Canas, Coelho, those guys in Europe who are at the very, very top. These guys, they are not just like, hey, let me build a car for this race and go race and, so on. These guys actually have taken a much wider approach to the whole race program, be it like having the proper sunglasses so they can always see everything, and having a team behind you that takes care of the tires, one takes care of the car, a testing program that you develop, tires that you develop for yourself, knowing what you want for yourself, and understanding what changes in the car affect what, and on top of this, driving on a very wide range of surfaces. These top Americans, they go to 5 race time events, which is basically all very similar in terms of grip. Then they go to Silver State and DNC. And then they go to some club races here and there or smaller events here and there. Whereas the Europeans, they go all around Europe. And there are, even though people see Redovan, they see, Chile this year, but those are just those events. Around Europe that don't hold big events, there's very different tracks. And now to sort of bring this all together, when you have races where you have 4 rounds of practice, 4 rounds of qualifying, a semi, and a final, you get up to 10 chances to try something, to dial in your setup, to make sure you're set for that 45-minute main. In America, you have open practice. You basically check that your stuff works. Track's completely different than it is going to be the next day. On qualifying day, you drive 3 times per car, 1 in the morning, 1 during the day, 1 in the night. Track's completely different each time out. And then on Sunday, you drive 1 main, no chance to change anything between unless you have aim practice, which usually is during the day, and the main is during the night. So you don't develop this deep connection with your car, and how you develop that connection throughout the day or throughout the race weekend to be sure that you can push it to the absolute maximum at the end of the race. And Jason, if you want to look at the interview I did with him at the Worlds, he said this exact same thing, that it's a much more than that. You have to know more, you have to be comfortable with more. And a lot of these American guys, their car is as it is, and they just change tires. They try to find the best tire. In Europe, when it goes to clays, it's clays, and that's it. There's one thread on your brand, there's one clay compound, and that's it. You can't do that. That's it. That's all you have. And the rest you have to do with the car. And I think this is what makes the difference. All of these things combined, but especially this last thing, that every time you go to a race, you develop that connection with your car on that specific track, on that specific weekend. And when you do it enough, you get into this rhythm of, even when you go to DNC and you absolutely suck, like Canas did from the first practices, and then you develop the connection and end up winning e-buggy. Boots, he was pretty good straight out the gate, but he definitely improved up to qualifying a lot. And that, to me, that's when you have that routine, you know what you need, even when the track changes, and you can expect what or estimate what it's going to do. But when you never have that chance or that routine, it's going to be hard to come up with anything on the spot. And I think that was very evident at the Worlds, because, the Europeans, sure, they know how the cars are set up. They approach it very methodically, whereas the Americans, they were very lost. Sure, maybe in some other races they are not as lost, but
I think this comes
is a big thing.
I want to add this, and yeah, I agree with your points. I see your points. I also think that the Americans race a lot more than the Europeans, and they don't. You are right. They race on very similar tracks, style of tracks, but they're racing enough where they're not getting the time to go out there and do the testing that they need because they're always going to that next race, right?
Yeah,
I'm especially a guy like Phend. Yeah, especially a guy like Phend or Rivkin, who's doing a lot of 10 scale racing, right? So that's something that happens. I just think that, and as these Europeans start coming more, they're going to start coming to these race time events. They're learning. They're like a sponge, right? Look, Zach Majube was there. I forgot he was there with Burak from Seismic, right? He says we came here to learn.
Yeah,
That's exactly what he said to me. We came here to learn what we need to do to make our tires work, or what we need to do, and that's what they're coming over to learn. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The Americans can do with going over to Europe to one race, even just one race a year, and learning. Speaking of, we got to add that there might be a possible return to Harper Adams as well. One more topic, and I want to move on to FCC because we're trying to do 2 hours here. I was talking to after the event, we was watching all the young racers. They were having fun, and it was me, Mayfield, Drake, a couple other guys. Me and Mayfield having some beer. I said, dude, how the fuck is Phend going 11 minutes and 30 seconds? Like, comfortably going 11 minutes and 30 seconds on a buggy tank. And Mayfield's like, oh, I can do 10. It's his drivetrain. I was like, no, dude, no. Like, everybody can go. Like, everybody I know of a Dakotah fan engine does 10 minutes. So I don't know. So here's my thing, and I want people. I had a whole theory that Sky broke everything down about tuning the engines to me. It was, I can't remember his name, Mitch. He had a good discussion with him. The engines we have enough power. They have enough speed. They have enough reliability. Now we're seeing the race to the best fucking fuel mileage. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing developing these engines where they can get better fuel mileage. And if you ain't doing 10 minutes now, and if you can't go 11:30, you're going to be on the back foot with these guys, unless it works out where you can drive fast enough. And I think that's what we're seeing the switch. We don't need any more power in these 21s now. We're going to see who can get the most fuel mileage. Simple as that. And that man can get 11:30 with that Dakotah fan engine. That is fucking amazing.
Yeah. I've been meaning to study this more, like nitro engines, because it's a very, very different type of engine from gasoline engines because of how much oxygen is already in nitro compared to gasoline. You have to bring in the air, and the type to save fuel is it's like you can save fuel by just like adjusting the amount of power you have, whereas in a gasoline engine you kind of always want more power. So it's an interesting topic, and I'd like to sort of understand this better, because I have to say I'm not an expert on the engines. I know how to tune them, I know how to make them feel good, but I don't know much about how to make a nitro engine actually save fuel with any of these internals. So you're
sorry, I was muted. I don't know either. Maybe I need to get an engine tune in her to talk about it. I just wanted to round out our finishes here at the Pro Nitro Buggy A final. We had Juan Carlos Canas obviously winning, Dakotah Phend second, Mason Fuller, good result, still looking for that top Nitro Buggy win. Great fourth place for Seth Van Dalen. Burak Killick, first time to an AMS to a race time event, coming fifth. Ryan Mayfield sixth, Brandon Rose seventh, Fee Long, Taylor Sontag, Ryan Lutz, Joel Figueroa. Joel was not happy. I tell him, dude, these races are different. You got to learn. You got to keep coming to them. Yeah. Don't be disappointed. Spencer Rifkin, Adam Drake, Jared Wiggins, Joey Berdon, and Jonah Wilson, where you're rounding them off. So congratulations to all the winners at the AMS. I want to say a big shout out to Dave Lycom and the Race Time crew and Bobby for all their hard work, for having us here. I heard there might be some exciting news coming out of Race Time next year. I can't say until it's official, but I've been talking to Dave about it, and we did some hot topics at dinner and just talking to him. And we'll be at SIC, which it all starts up in January. So good job. We had fun, and thank you to everybody that came up and shook my hand and got to meet at AMS. I really appreciate all the love that everybody shows us. You, me, the podcast, Elite RC Productions crew. We thank you guys, and we appreciate it. And just watch the space of Elite RC and an RC. We're doing some cool things. We appreciate it. All right, moving on, Max. We're gonna go to the next big race, the unofficial Carpet World Championships. The Florida Carpet Championships was held November 13th to 17th at Beachline Raceway in Cocoa, Florida. This is my third time going to this race, and it is a race I do not want to miss every year. I love carpet racing. I love this race. I love this race because there's a big contingent of Europeans that come, and it did not disappoint. The only disappointment I had this year for this race, only one or two, there's no Marcus Carrot there. And there was not enough Brits there. There was no Tommy Halls, nothing. There was just Ben Smith.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that Marcus had school and he couldn't get off time because he took Worlds, he took EOS, and he took Euros, 10 scale Euros. So he couldn't make this race. I hope he makes it next year. And I would love to see some of the Asian racers like Anato come over. And some of these guys that are Kuiki, what's his name? Kuiki. I keep getting that poor man's names wrong. One of your favorite, Koki Kata. I hope they make the trip over. And some of the Australian fast guys as well. So Beachline Raceway, they put on so why I like this race is because Robbie Michaels is the owner of the facility, by Danny Chavez and TJ Bradley, like the brains behind this, mostly Chavez. And Chavez, like they don't let people see the track. It's a special track review. It's show, and they are very involved in the whole everything that to go with the program. So they have like they have specific instructions for us with the live stream, which I love when a promoter's into that and he gives us instruction and makes it easier for us. So they unveil the track on Wednesday, people go set up, they have practice, 2 rounds of practice, and then I think it was Thursday was more practice, seeding practice, and then they started qualifying. 2 qualifiers on Friday, 2 qualifiers on Saturday. They have a Super Bowl race, and then of course it's all finals, all day Sunday. They do have bump ups from B main to the A finals, but this race was completely stacked with drivers. Obviously, you had the top Americans there. You had no Tater. There was no Tater this year, but you had Brock Chamberlain, who's won this now 3 times. He won it 2 years. He won the first 2 ones with Associated. He won it with Schumacher this year. You had Cavallari was there, but unfortunately, it was not a good weekend for Cavallari. Dakotah Phend, Brennan Schimmel. Come to think of it. Oh, Rivkin. Obviously, Rivkin was there. That was probably the extent of the top American guys there in mod. To be honest, there was no, there was no Aiden Horns. There was no Cole Tallards. There was no. Yeah. Oh, we have Rinderneck. Rinderneck was really good. Really impressed me this weekend.
Was there.
Yeah, Davey Bada was there. Born a Crime was there, but he was racing mod. I tell him he should have run stock. But I will say that the company representatives are Hobby Wing was there with Charlie and one of the engineers from over there in Asia.
I don't think there was any American missing from the top except for who did you
like
say?
Aiden Horn.
Aiden Horn. Who else?
I don't know. Like when you really think of it, that's like the main guys that race mod.
Yeah, like Cavallari was 16th, Fee was 18th.
Yeah, Fee was there. I forgot Fee was there, but Fee's like this is his first time running mod and second time on a big race on carpet.
Yeah, but no.
If we
look at the all the guys that finish high at the Roar Nats, Phend, he's down at the A final. Chase in the B, Schimmel at the B, Cavallari in the B.
Chase Lemieux was there. Yep.
Yeah, so it's not like Americans weren't there. It's just that the Americans weren't fast enough to be on the top, All of them were there except for Horn. Everyone else was there.
Phend was running the new 2-wheel drive car there as well.
Yeah.
Very swept on it. Like I saw it, he told me it was different, but he was like, dude, you can't talk about it on the broadcast enough. And I don't know what I'm looking at anyway, so it doesn't matter to me. But it's a good event. Then let's talk about Europeans. We obviously have Orlowski, who's won this twice, Coelho, Ronafalk, Martin Beyer, Matt Gotzo in stock. We had Kobovic, who's like 8 foot tall, who's now doing RC full time. Now I saw just won. There's Norwegian awards that they gave out. Obviously, we had Ben Simpson coming. This is Ben Simpson, right? Ben Simpson, this is the young guy from UK. We had Ben Simpson.
I don't see him on the results.
He wasn't in the A finals. That's why.
No, but I don't see him anywhere.
Yeah, but we've talked about him. I think he won the two-wheel drive leg of the national championship in the UK.
Yeah, but he's not on the final results. He qualified 16th in two-wheel drive, and then he qualified 11th in four-wheel drive, but then he's not in the main results. Why is that?
Because he was in the B main.
No, but he's not even in the.
N-
I don't see him here.
Maybe it's in the C main. I don't know. I can't remember.
Oh wait, does
But
he just have an American flag? No.
Anyway,
No, he just didn't drive. I don't know.
He drove. He raced his
Oh
finals.
no, he DNF'd. That's why. Okay.
Yeah, there you
Sorry,
go.
I'm.
Not a baptism of fire for Ben Simpson.
And he has Ben Smith. Sorry, Ben Smith.
Ben Smith. Sorry.
He had he had an American flag. Now I really saw it. He was there on 15th in two-wheel drive, but he was at American flag, so I was like looking for a UK flag. Okay.
All right. So also you had a dude.
Pretty much all of the Europeans except for Kobe Vic was there. I was sorry for Kero was there.
But I'm going to talk about X-Ray. Mario Hudi was there with his children, so they were racing. Yeah. And Mario, I didn't know who he was, so I didn't know how the hierarchy went at X-Ray. So Mario and Martin are Uri's sons. So Mario is more of the behind-the-scenes business guy, and those was Uri Hudi's grandsons that were racing there, and it was like a family thing, and it was fun to see because Mario was like a typical nervous RC dad. He would watch every lap that they did. He was there. He was, tire marshaling for him. It was good to see. But I have to say this, Max, the size of the freaking X-Ray team there was humongous. I think they had the biggest team there. Huge team. Bruno was there. We had Bruno and Mikhail there, fresh off their kerfuffleage at the Touring Car Worlds, which we're not going to talk about, but I did talk to Mikhail about it. I didn't really get to talk to Bruno much. He didn't look like he wanted to talk to me too much that weekend. Really? Yeah. I did talk to him briefly, but I talked to Mikhail about the incident with Bruno, and he basically said, I don't think it was intentional, but I expected it to happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that when we do. We're not going to do it on this podcast. It was a word.
I don't want to say anything just because I feel like I'm making too many enemies by being too honest and saying things too straightforward. But yeah.
But this was a great race, dude. And what I like about these guys, they coordinate everything. So this year, the coordination was camouflage with orange, like they do different colors. And they added a feature I've never seen on the track before, which was an off-camber step section.
Yeah.
That went down and back up. And if you hit on the inside to the middle, you're fine. The cars went through no problem. But if you went wide, like the steps got longer apart and higher, so it just and it just disrupted your car. It was such a great, you know what? Let's just bring it up. Let's just look at the track because we complained about how dull and boring the Euros track was, right? Let's bring up live stream A1 of this. We complained about that because it generally was not the best track, right? We can all agree that the Euros track was not good, but you come to this track and it's got big jumps, it's got different, it's got cool corners, it's got it's got what we want in racing. It was awesome to see. They built a good track. I think Kevin Ramos is the guy who builds it. We're going to bring it up here so everybody can see it. And you guys can see what we're talking about. This is the start of A1. There we go. We add it to the stage. And let's just play it. They also have a Super Bowl to to determine qualifying. That's fun. Everybody watches that. And there they go off.
But that's like the original Super Bowl, not like
this is
Super Bowl.
Yeah, this is fast laps. There's Mario Hudi. So there's Brock. Brock changed up his colors too. And Orlowski changed his colors a little bit. So it's hard to tell them apart. Oh, is that Orlowski out front?
No, Brock I think TQ two-wheel drive.
So I'm going to tell you who impressed me the most at this race. Two drivers impressed me at this race. 3, because there's 1 in stock. 4, there's 2 in stock. 5, there's 3 in stock that impressed me. I had to. So the drivers that impressed me the most at this race were Una Hotnen and Tom Rinnick. Both of them were very fast in qualifying. Probably didn't have the finals that they wanted. I know Una kept making mistakes, but Una impressed a lot of people instead of Rinnick. They were very fast. Unfortunately, just couldn't put it together in the finals and exhibit what they really had. But impressive. Like, Una continues to impress me. I know you always talk about him because he's your boy, and I've gotten to know him, a bit better, but he is a fucking damn good driver, man. In all classes, in 8 scale and in 10 scale. And I would say the same for Rindernick as well.
Yeah, I think to me, Jona didn't really impress me because I knew this is kind of sort of the level he is at in 10 scale.
Of course not. Of course not.
Yeah, but he went here last year he finished around the same spots.
2022 he was there.
Oh yeah, sorry, he missed last year, but the year before. The issue with Jona is just that he doesn't get to go to races enough. I think things are changing from what I've heard. That he's getting to go more to these races, but as we saw at the Worlds, he really has the pace. He really had the pace here. But what I want to say, because we're watching two-wheel drive now. Jona obviously ended up finishing 6th, pretty decent. But when we look at this top 6 all together, in front of him it's Kobevic, and then only two Americans are Champlin and Rivkin. Everyone else is a European. And going one step further, thanks to my North European roots, I have to say, the sort of most populated area was North Europe in this, because it's Kobevic from Norway, Jona from Finland, and Ronald Fox from Sweden. I talked about this way back. Can't remember now which episode it was, but way back when we was looking at some of these EOS races, and I said, like, we have London, we have Elias Johansson, even Paulson's really fast in Europe in 10 scale. Karup, he wasn't even here, and still, like, something is done right in the Northern Europe when it comes to carpet 10 scale racing, because the level of these drivers is incredible. Sure, it probably has to do something with us having incredibly long winters, but at the same time, I think it has to be mentioned that it's quite a significant amount of young, especially that all of these guys are like young, like right around 20, some younger than 20. And I think that is impressive. I think that's very impressive. And knowing, the scene, there's a lots more that are coming up. So just something I kind of want to mention.
I think that people are gonna first off be triggered by your excessive bragging. Now you've gone onto the Scandinavian countries. I don't think your head's big enough. I don't think we have a camera big enough to fit your head in here right now. But you ain't wrong. You are not fucking wrong. I just thought about it. Like, Karup's from Denmark, Kobevic from Norway. And let's be realistic. Norway is not the hotbed of RC racing.
No.
Neither is Finland to an extent. And then obviously Ronald Fox, the oldest out of all these guys. So something's going on up north there in the Scandinavian countries. Maybe it's because you guys have miserably long winters and nothing else to do but drink beer and drive RC cars.
Yeah, indoor
RC carpet.
Yeah.
But very impressive. Kobevic was good. Kobevic was very fast too.
Yeah. The Kobevic was an interesting case because there was a time where a lot of people were kind of suspected he'd be out of RC, but now he's right up there with Orlowski, second at the Euros, third at the Euros, second after qualifying in two-wheel drive. Here, a top 5 finish in two-wheel drive. He's consistently the second best guy on the European Schumacher team, and I think he's only thing he would need to do to sort of become like one of these top pros is to be better in 8 skill. Because Scarab did it at the Worlds. Yona has proven it that he's capable of it. He just needs to have his results. Orlowski has proven it. All of these 10 skill guys kind of have proven it except for Kobevic. So I think that's sort of his next step, making it big in 8 scale. But other than that, I think he's now at the level in 10 scale where he is actually like one of the top guys in the world, but definitely in Europe. And yeah, I think that's something that
Yeah,
impressed
impressive.
me. Of,
Oh, you know who else we didn't put in there? We didn't put Pekka in there. I would love to see Pekka come to this race.
yeah, Pekka is interesting because I think he has not really driven 10 scale at all for the past year or so, but he has been really impressive in on road. So touring is sort of what he's been really good at, what he drives probably the most at this point. So it would be interesting to see him in on road more so now that the ETS has started. But I do think he could be one of those guys who could compete. I don't think he's there yet to compete with Kobevic and Orlowski. And I definitely think Jonah is better than him in 10 scale in his current state. But I do think he has potential. It would be more interesting. I wish we have good Nordics for 10 scale next year as well, because we really didn't this year. Because nobody from Finland that I know went. And I think it's incredible how much talent there is, and it just needs to these guys need to just travel more.
Absolutely. Let's move on to some results. So in four-wheel drive, we had Mikhail Orlowski, Brock Champlin, Bruno Coelho, Dakotah Phend, Daniel Kovacic, Tom Rindernick, Spencer Rifkin, David Ronnefalk, Una Hotnen, and David Bada was your top 10. And in two-wheel drive, it was Brock Champlin, Mikhail Orlowski, Bruno Coelho, Spencer Rifkin, Daniel Kovacic. Good top 5 for him. Una had a 6, Rindernick, Ronnefalk, Phend, and Bada. Now, this resulted in them having a Super Bowl, a hot lap shootout.
Yeah.
So basically, they got 6 laps to. This happened last year as well between Bruno and Orlowski.
Yeah.
And even I think Lance talked to Daniel how he thinks this can be done a little bit better next year as well as Super Bowl. So we might see some changes. But I mean, Brock Champlin went out there and kicked ass, man. He was better than Orlowski this year. And Orlowski done it to Bruno last year, and I love that the tiebreaker was determined by a Super Bowl. I never thought that would happen again, and it did a second year in a run and in a row, and people enjoyed it, and it came down to some exciting, just hot laps. Everybody loves hot laps, right? Well, this is where hot laps matter in this type of racing.
Yeah.
So that was good. And so congratulations to Brock Champlin. He's now a 3-time Florida Carpet Championship racer. He won the first 2 associated. Now he's one with a Schumacher. Schumacher's won 3 now. So
yeah. Orlowski has 2, and now Brock has 1.
And Phend has won this as well.
Yeah.
But dude, I have to say, the size of the X-Ray team uber impressed me. It was bigger than the Associated team.
That's something that has been impressing me, because I remember 1 year ago when we was talking about Testament leaving and then picking up Ronnefalk, we was like, what's going to happen to America? And we said, yeah, Chase doing a good job. The Lemieux, crew, all of the people around them, they're doing a good job. And maybe just focus on that. That was our guess last year. And I have to say that even though I saw it work out decently, and I think they had already then good presence in on road with Hebert and those guys, it has impressed me as well, because we talked about this before, and when I saw those pictures, X-Ray with all those guys, I don't know how, like, what they have done, the Lemieux family and people around them.
I think Paul Ciccarello has done a good job as well.
That's a good point. Yeah, I kind of forgot about Paul, but yeah, he's probably the guy who makes a big difference. Because I remember when he was doing Serpent was the thing, and they never were a thing before that. So I think
so
that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what it is, a lot of TLR guys are when TLR now running X-Ray.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
which we're going to talk about
that
in
will
a bit.
continue to happen, because when that goes, it goes all downhill. But I want to comment though, because we're talking about brands. I don't know if did you have more on X-Ray? Because
Yeah, I wanted to
kind of
I wanted to touch on stock real quick, but if you wanted to say something about brands, I'll do that afterwards.
yeah, because we talk about X-Ray and they having a big team, but Schumacher, they have always been like a brand. In the 90s, they were big, but in the 2010s, there was kind of always these brands that, the UK guys ran it, but the car wasn't really that good ever, except on like Astro, and the four-wheel drive sucked for the longest time with the K2 and so on, and then they brought out the L1, which was really good, and now Schumacher is at a state where Euros, Orlowski, um, Shaw, Guelho managed to take four-wheel drive. Champlin won in mod, TQ'd both of the classes. Should have won four-wheel drive without traffic issues. Was the fastest guy out there. They come out to FCC, double win in both classes. Shaw Coelho is third, qualifies well, but that's still double win in both classes.
They're making a big push.
3 cars in top 5 in both classes. I've been talking to people, around on road. Pecco is confident. Schumacher is the best touring car out there. The results speak for themselves. Orlowski went on a undefeated win streak for over a year before the Euros. And even though I gave Orlowski some shit that on the Discord, like the results this guy has had for Schumacher have been incredible. Incredible all around. But to me, what impresses me the most is it's not like he's the only one anymore. Pecco is making some of these big ETS mains. Mattia Collina is making these ETS mains in on-road side. Here, like Champlain, Kobovic, and so on. In Europe, there's like Elias Johansson, Paulson, Pecco. All of these guys are making these big mains. And to me, it's incredible how they have turned it around in the past, let's say, like 7 years. And that's like, I don't want to say thanks to Orlowski and Trish, but if it wasn't for those two, Schumacher wouldn't be even close to what they are now. Not even close.
100% agree. 100% agree.
And I think
100%.
Schumacher and X-Ray, they're this big rivalry. X-Ray, very different type of company. Schumacher, both are family operations, but very different type of like.
A lot more money at X-Ray.
A lot more money, but not necessarily due to RC, but due to the family business and what they do in their area. But I don't know. It just, to me, it's both of these European brands are doing really well. And again, this comes to like Europeans doing well, but these two brands have really brought it into 10 scale, and I feel like it's gonna change the American market as well. And X-Ray, as you said, it's already catched on. But I bet you when Champlin starts to win more of these dirt races, people are gonna take another look at Schumacher as well. It's not gonna be just Associated, TLR, and these kind of brands anymore. Even though they're having the difficulties already, it's gonna get even more tough when Schumacher and X-Ray start to gain even more following behind them and more momentum.
Dude, I think they're gonna get a fair share of these TLR guys, and then between X-Ray, it's only 4 real brands in 10 scale: X-Ray, TLR, Associated, and
Schumacher.
And Schumacher's gonna get their first share, guys. We might see them get an even bigger top name. I have a theory. All right. I just wanted to go over stock real quick. So in 2-wheel drive, X-Ray class, we had Nate Sutherland, who you guys didn't know much of him, but Nate Sutherland is one of these guys that has impressed me. Like, I'm anxious to see him when he goes up to mod, if he does it. Had a good weekend. He won 2-wheel drive. Dustin Fox, Yokomo driver out there, flying. He was good.
Really? Yokomo?
Very good. Yes, Yokomo.
Okay.
I was shocked. Ryan Rivas, who's from the Pacific Northwest, had a great weekend. He Hot Pockets. He was very good in qualifying, provided some great qualifying action. Max Gotzel, Martin Beyer, Jeff Stackowitz, Talon Henley, Doug Lavillier, Adrian Rascon. I want to say a big shout out to this young man, McCoy Martin. So I met McCoy last year at this race, 2 years ago. Nice young man, 13 years old, good family, bombshell racing. he is a local to Beachline, but he bumped into the 4-wheel drive final and made his way. He won intermediate last year, like the stock class. This is the expert stock class. Great driving by him. Awesome young man. He's a Gumby fan. His dad's an avid action figure collector as well. And then in the 13.5 4-wheel drive, brought to you by Exalt, Max Gotzel, who does not work for X-Ray, by the way. He made sure to tell me that. He's like, I don't work for X-Ray, Keenan. I'm a student. Okay, I thought you did. But I like Max. He did well. He was happy with his win. Him and Ronafalk were having an argument about who had those colors first. And because his car looks very much like Ronafalk's. Ryan Revis finished in second. Well done to him in the Pacific Northwest. Dustin Fox, the Yokomo guy. Martin Beyer. Knight Sutherland, not having the same luck. He did get a 3 and a 2 in 4-wheel drive. Danny Chavez, Doug Laverdier, Jeff Stakovitz, Kai the Hat Golf, McCoy Martin, and Talon Hen. McCoy Martin was 10th. So well done to those stock warriors. They're awesome. Max, start learning about those stock guys. But I will say that this race is probably one of the biggest, most competitive, prestigious carpet races, 10-scale races in the world. And it has only happened. This is its 5th iteration, 5th time happening. So kudos to the race promoters and everybody involved. Like Hobby Wing was there, like with Charlie Swanka and a freaking engineer. You get it? Like a guy was there. Obviously, Matty G's there, teching, doing all these engines, motors. Did you see how they tech the motors? They completely. Did you see that video?
Yeah.
Completely tore these things.
But I think
destroyed them.
That's the thing is that as long as you have open motor, that's what it's going to be. That's what it's
No. They did this. They did this for stock. So 17.5 and 13.5.
Yeah. But I mean, like open
21.5.
Open motor manufacturer. That's what I meant. Like, because like in Europe, a lot of these stock races they do handout motors. So you have like you get a motor from the race organizer, you buy it from them. So everyone has the same exact motor.
Got you. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. But it's so much money in that stock game that it's never going to change because there's so much money.
This is my whole argument of why it actually should be mod that has these motor regulations. Because now it's that people put more money, people and companies put more money and effort into stock than they actually put the mod. And I think that is, like I feel like I cannot state this enough, but there will be a time if this current situation goes on that companies like TLR are going to be like, hey, Dakotah, we don't want you to run mod. We don't really give a shit about mod. We want you to run stock. Like if you look at just the money, that would be the sensible thing to do. That would be the sensible thing to do.
Absolutely.
Because why would you spend money? Let's say you are R1. Why would you spend money on some random young kid who he's going to be good in one day, but when he goes to mod, he's probably going to leave you around anyway, where you could just say to Tom Reineknecht, hey, dude, we make more money in stock. You run stock for us. We're going to pay for you. You're going to run stock. You're going to win every single race, and people are going to buy our shit, And R1 is going to be the number one winner of all stock races. People are going to think R1's the best. And I think like that's why we have to look at it in a way where there has to be similar thing for the top level of mod. Most people, it's not going to matter for most people. It's not going to matter for, the guy who in the C main or running. Because to be honest, at this point, there really isn't more than A and B in mod. So it's like all of those guys are pretty much pros anyway. I think it's thing people need to start taking seriously. The fact that for just the marketing point of view and money point of view and RC racing sustainability business wise point of view, that's something that probably has to happen. Not just that it's a nice idea that I thought of and I want it to happen. I think there's a time where it has to happen for mod racing to actually like make sense further out. But yeah, I don't know. I want to say about stock though, the Americans have picked up a lot because last year I remember, was it last year or 2 years ago? I don't remember which one, but
was last year Rabayar dominated.
Yeah, these guys came from Europe. They were just like, hey, we never run stock, but we're going to run it at this race so we can say we won it. And they did, and they dominated. This year they tried the same, but it didn't go their way. I mean, Gotchel won 4.0, but the
so-
Americans were good. The Americans actually put on a challenge this year.
I went around to every single American stock race and said, you guys let Martin Beyer come over here and beat you guys in the class you created. I said, who's going to take up? I said, who's going to take up the challenge and beat Martin Beyer this week? I went to every single stock racer and said that to him as I walked around. I want to finish it up on this. I would like to see, this would be a great little exhibition race. I like to see it flipped. I would like to see as an exhibition race, because we got this argument. Joey Fisher says the top stock guys would beat the mod guys if the mod guys run in stock. That's his argument.
No, they wouldn't.
I would love to see, excuse me, I'd like to see it flip it. Let the top mod guys go run mod. Let top stock A final go run a final in mod, and let the mod guys go run stock and see who has the best lap times, or see what happens. Or mix match it. Put the put the TQ from stock into the mod class and let them run, and put the TQ from mod and let them run, and see who's going to win, because it's always going to be the fucking mod guys because they're super fast. Anyway, congratulations to everybody that attended this race. It was a blast. We had fun. It's a good event. Oh, the Boricuas. There were like every year the Puerto Rican guys come, and it's like been more and more every year. This year was 12 of them. Dude, and there was this guy. He was from Peru. He kicked ass in the like, you know, like I think it's the expert, the intermediate 13.5 with 17.5. And he was battling out with Jenny Roper. Fabricio, he bought those cars off Facebook Marketplace and just came and raced. And a young racer I've gotten to know, Jenny Roper, she did really well. She had a very emotional interview. It's good to see, man. It's good to see. They got good things on there at Beachline RC Raceway. All right, Max, I think that that's it for our race recaps. We're going to look at some upcoming races coming up. Then we're going to touch on a little bit of SillySeason news, and we're going to wrap this up. We're already at 2 hours. We got to go. It's 3:12. I got to go Thanksgiving dinner at 4. Just like always, Max. You go too long. You go too hard, Max. Anyway, up next this is brought to you by Tekno RC and Sidewinder Racing. Sidewinder Fuel. Morgan Fuel has been collaborating with many of the world's top drivers for over 40 years. This has enabled us to test our fuels in many of the world's most challenging situations and take the development of competition fuels to the next level. The result is Sidewinder, the market's most powerful racing fuel. This fuel is track tested and proven by national and world champions such as Ryan Cavallari, Ryan Mayfield, Greg Degani, Mark Vitas, and their top drivers, Young, Fee Long Win, and many more. These drivers appreciate that Sidewinder is blended perfectly for the high-performance needs of competitive racing. Don't let victory slip through your fingers. Purchase Sidewinder today. Also, a big shout-out to Tekno. Congratulations on the release of their new 2.2 Truggy. I'm pretty sure that thing's going to sell out absolutely completely because it's that badass, and I actually want one. Thank you, Tekno RC, for your support.
Tekno RC. Tekno RC is a championship-winning manufacturer of high-performance A-scale, 10-scale, nitro, and electric RC buggies and trucks. With a worldwide dealer network, USA and Europe-based headquarters, comprehensive warranty program, and global race support, Tekno RC is excellence in RC. View the full lineup of Tekno RC race-proven vehicles by visiting www.teknorc.com.
Thank you, Tekno RC, for your continued support. I am an avid E-Truggy fan now, and I just want the Tekno. Okay? All right, Max, upcoming races. Let's go through this real quick. Then we'll get into some SillySeason. Obviously, we have Fall Brawl coming up next weekend, but I'll be at Lake Waccamaw. That's going to be a pretty big race. And I think the weekend after that, we have the U.S. Open Gas Champs at Adobe Raceway, Tim Lime's track. I know Phend's going on a couple of, obviously Mayfield and those guys will be there, Rivkin, all those guys. So that should be an interesting race to watch with the amount of pros guys going there. The San Padao International RC Grand Prix, December 11th to 15th, which is next weekend, held at San Padao, Xiamen, China. Rana folks going. Isn't Coelho going to this? Or no, hold on. Wasn't Coelho supposed to go to this?
I don't know.
I think he was.
Coelho might be going. I just put Ronfa because I don't know if Coelho's are going. Let me check.
Maybe this is the last time we saw Coelho doing 10 scale off-road.
Oh, but this is 8 scale race.
I know it is. But I'm not sure. Then we have SIC January 10th to 12th, which kicks off the American Big Race season. I'll be there for that. The J Concepts Off-Road Jam 17th of 19th at Fastlane RC Raceway. We have Anthony Westergaard's race, the 2025 Factory NSX at the Dirt, happening January 24th to 25th. Beast of the East Triple Crown at the World of RC in Lucama, North Carolina. Myself, Danny Paz, and the Elite crew will be there for that. That's a great race. That's 10 scale and 8 scale mix. Then my first INS race. I'm excited about this. It's Elite RC Productions. J Concepts have bought them on to do the RD work and everything involved with that. I'll be going to the first race, which is February 7th to 9th at Wisconsin. So we'll be in the snow. And it's going to be cold, but it's going to be great. It's a dirt track, clay track. Then we have the FTC race coming up at the Nitro Compound February 21st to 23rd. Check it out. And Bruno is going as well. Max just confirmed that. Maybe the last time we see Bruno running 8 scale in X-Ray in China there.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the Hot Race Hot Gossip. Shout out to Hot Race Tires. I do know who their 2 top drivers are going to be. I don't know if I should say it yet. It hasn't been announced. But let's just say their names begin with a T and the other ones begins with an A. There we go. That's all I'm going to give you. You know, all the SillySeason sleuths, we have to figure it out. But the next week, and you know what? I have to burn to pick with you after this too, as well. You and your minions that are ganging up on me. The Hot Race Hot Gossip is all about SillySeason that's happening. But before I do that, I have to say, Max, Rick McCrary calling me out publicly on Facebook. You know, when you're at the top, everybody's coming for your crown. So I'm got big shoulders to take it. Now you got Rick on your side, all about Team Max, talking about how I'm cooking the books and all this type of stuff. So you know what? We should figure out how to do a collaboration with Rick McCrary in the top 25 rankings to keep track of our SillySeason predictions, right? Yeah. So you know what? Rick McCrary, hit Max up because he's the brains behind this whole thing, and you are all about Team Max. You know, and I'm the king of SillySeason, and everybody's coming. I'm telling you, this is the last year of SillySeason for me. I will not be doing it next year. You know, the pressure of, the amount of erroneous, nefarious accusations being thrown at me by you and your public and your Team Max is just unfair, absolutely unfair.
Keenan, you cannot say at this point of SillySeason that this is your last season, because next year, you know, you're gonna be back, and then you're gonna be saying all the same mantra. I'm gonna retire.
No, I'm gonna groom somebody to become a SillySeason sleuth. You're gonna see my Padawan come out next. I don't know who it is, but yeah, SillySeason's starting to get into full effect. There's lots of things going on. And I don't know, maybe we need to collaborate with the top 25 to figure out how we do it. Oh, by the way, I will have an update on NNRC Cup points next week. I'm waiting on Danny Pass to finish the points. He gave me the points, but they were wrong. We got to redo them. Well, I'm confirmed. Barton to Kyosho and Ialasi Tune. I think this is a good move for him. Obviously, it's going to be on Matrix tires. The Ialasi Tune motors are great. And no surprise here. First real confirmation, we know. Let's talk about almost confirmed. I assume by the time this podcast comes out, it will be public knowledge. We did touch on it on the last podcast. It caused a whole bunch of kerfuffle. Yeah. But yeah, Robert out at Mayako, and destination seems to be S-Works as a team manager / that type of job. Basically, he's going to be overseeing the whole S-Works team around the world, especially in Europe and America. I wish Robert all the best with that. Things change, and Robert just had a kid. That's a lot playing on his plate. You know, S-Works, we know, like we said, we know S-Works has kind of been after him for quite some time. They were after him after he left Mugen. I hate to see Robert leave Mayako, and I know a lot of people do hate to see him leave, but I also understand why he's kind of leaving. We know Mayako's kind of, you know the difference. Like S-Works got money, established brand. Not saying that Mayako is an established brand, but just a little bit more. You know, you got to provide for your family, man. And that kid comes around, it's a different story. And I think he's just gonna. I think he just sees a better path for him and his family and his career at S-Works, and I totally get it. If he's getting paid more money, absolutely get more money. You know, maybe more money, more money, and just maybe an easier way of working, which is going to benefit him. I don't know all the details.
Less stress. That I mean, it's
Less
like
stress.
it's like anytime you're trying to build something. Let's be honest, Mayako is established in people's like minds that it's a brand, I think,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not like it doesn't have its foothold yet in the industry. And like with any brand, like S Works was like this 5 years ago.
Yep.
Before they started winning, it was exactly like this. And I bet anybody who worked there, it was stressful because you're fighting an uphill battle like any new brand is. And I definitely, if I had a child, I wouldn't do it. To me, it was wild that when I heard that he was having a kid, I'm like, okay, that's a weird timing considering all of the, because he
Well,
just
sometimes
had
it
a
just
kid
happens.
after.
Sometimes it just happens, Max. Trust me, I know all about it. My kids kind of just happened. I was just I was just an unwilling participant. It was all planned. I didn't know anything about it.
I'm not
I
taking any risks, so I play safe on that front. But I
There
bet
you go. You're too
Robert,
young for kids. So,
yeah,
but we wish
Robert was
Robert all the
aged.
best.
I think it was planned.
Yes, but I wish Robert all the best. I know he's gonna focus on 36-minute S Works and, of course, Hot Race. So now we're gonna get into some crazy stuff. Not crazy. Before we get into crazy stuff, let's talk about some things here. So it isn't official. It might be official by this comes out. I don't know, but we talked about it. Phend is out at TLR. I heard Tater's out. Schimmel's out. They're out. They're out. They're done. 19 years with TLR and Phend's out. Not that he wanted to be out, but they didn't want to agree to his terms, so he had to go. Which I agree. He's also a racer that's about to have a child. He's going to have him and his wife are expecting a child next year. And I've gotten to talk to Phend over the years, and like after the last couple of races, like he's a good dude. Like he's very professional. He's very calm and collective. And I think he's one of those racers that deserve to get a good paycheck at what he does, because I still think that Phend is probably the best off-road driver in 10 scale and 8 scale, because he's able to, okay, maybe his results weren't too good the last couple of 10 scale races, but he's still able to, like, I think Phend can go to any race and be a competitor or to winning that race. Top 3 to winning.
I agree, but I'd put it this way. Phend is probably the most talented off-road driver that there is. I think when the way he's able to drive a car that's not like as good as it could be, and without basically a team behind him that knows what they're doing. And I'm not saying like he's been doing great with what he's had, and I can't remember his name, but he's mechanic at the Worlds. I think they work well together as a team. I'm not dissing them.
Dylan Peterson. This is Dylan.
Nelson?
Yeah, Dylan Peterson, I think.
Nelson? I think it's Nelson.
Dylan Nelson. Sorry, I don't know why I had Peterson in my brain. Man, I'm bad with names today.
Nothing against him, but when you have Ongaro with who has, I don't even know, 20 years of experience of being a mechanic at the top level of RC, you have like 2 or 3 pitmen just for you, just for you. And like when that's like Ongaro, and then I don't know about Canas if he has that big of a support structure, but he at least has he has his mechanics same at every race, everything like that, and everything's together. But Phend, like you said, Camden Line pinning him at AMS, that like I think if someone picked up Phend, it doesn't have to be Barry Baker, but he was an example of this. Someone like Barry Baker, I think even JQ to some extent could be good for him. I think like that would be absolutely a killer combo, because someone's looking after what he's doing. Someone's giving him a car to use his talent. Go ahead, Keenan.
So let's segue into where I believe Phend is going. So we talked about this a few podcasts ago where he was seen testing an X-ray. So I pretty much think that he's going to be going to X-ray, right? Mm-hmm. But here's the caveat. Barry Baker has been running the X-ray car for the last year, I think, or over almost all of 2023. He has been running it because he's been with Brian Eiderler's guys from HRCR, who are big X-ray guys, and he's been driving the X-ray. So how perfect does that work out in the whole scheme of things if he does go to X-ray to have your RC dad, Bartholomew Baker, who is healing up hopefully very, very well from his back surgery, or Backside Barry, as Chase calls him, says that Barry has the best ass he's ever seen. How great will it be good to see the Phenom back together with Barry, the fabulous one Baker? Because there is, I think there is no mistaking that the effect that Barry Baker had in Dakotah Phend's program. Because remember, he's fending, he used to fend, he used to break, he's not finished races. When he got with Barry, he was able to finish races, and he was able to win races.
Yeah.
So if that happens, and let's talk about that real quick. So obviously, it hasn't been confirmed, but we pretty much know that Coelho's out. Infinity Sans to be the place that is going. There's been some wild signs of maybe it's associated with the new touring car, but Coelho's out. We kind of beat that horse to death. We don't know when it's going to be official. Probably at the end of the year. We assume that it's going to be Infinity. We've heard rumors it's going to be a big paycheck, all that type of stuff. But we know that. But let's focus on if Phend goes to X-Ray and what that means. After I saw that big, gigantic team at the freaking FCC race here 2 weeks ago, oh my goodness. That is exactly what's going to happen in 8 scale, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's going to go out.
Yeah. I think if I'm Phend, I'm joining X-Ray because there's 3 classes they care about. 10 scale on-road, 10 scale off-road, 8 scale off-road. They don't give a shit about anything else. Those 3 classes. And I don't think Phend's going to be running on-road. And they already have guys in on-road in America. He's going to be just doing 10 scale off-road, 8 scale off-road. 2 classes he runs and loves. He's going to get consistent car updates, yearly updates to the car. He's going to get a team around him of already fast races of Rineknet, Lemieux, who's going to push him forward, share ideas and set up, so on. And additionally, if he has someone like Barry supporting him, Shigarello, who's going to be there at every race, like if I'm Phend and I'm getting that offer, I'm like, yeah, I don't have to think. I wouldn't even think about it. Like that's the match made in heaven.
And you're with a team that actually gives a fuck about racing and wants to fucking win. And that's what he'll have at X-Ray. I ain't worried about the car because that man can drive pretty much anything. He drove that TLR and won with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, but I think
X-Ray,
even that is an update.
Yeah, but listen, remember when Tessman went to X-Ray and it kind of didn't work out because Gordon Tessman wanted things their way.
Yeah.
You know how it goes at X-Ray. You do what Hootie says. And I think Phend will have no issue with that. I think he'll be no issue whatsoever. He'll be like, all right, this is what you want me to drive. That's what I'm going to drive. Because if he's making that damn TLR work for all these years, he'll definitely have no issue. He'll have pressure to do well, but he won't have the pressure of carrying an entire race program and team on his shoulders, which Phend has been doing for the last 10 years. I think it's a great move for Phend. It's some security for him and his family. He's going to be busy. He's going to have to learn that car, but it's not going to be... It sucks. 19 years with a fucking company, and it comes down to this. And he had a great year this year, right? He's had a great couple of years here. But you know what? Change is good. Change can be good, and it can be refreshing. And that's kind of how I think he's looking at it and how he should look at it. So I think if Dakotah Phend does go to X-Ray, and all signs are pointing to that, fucking great move for him. Great move for X-Ray. And you're going to watch the X-Ray brand explode in America. Because I am telling you, dude, the amount of X-rays I saw at Florida Copper Championship was impressive. All right. Now Tater and Schimmel, I don't know. Maybe they go to X-ray. I know Schimmel was X-ray before, but Schimmel, he's a good driver. I personally think that Schimmel should go back down to stock racing, but I know he wants to make it a mod. But let's talk about Tater. Does Tater follow Dakotah Phend to X-ray, or does Tater go his own path finally and get from under the shadow, even though he's a world champion, it's still under the shadow of Dakotah? Do we see Tater go to check this scenario. What if Tater goes to Schumacher and then runs? I'm finished. What if Tater goes to Schumacher and runs a Mayako, or maybe I was gonna say a Mugen. What if Taylor goes to Associated?
So here's my thing. We saw that video of Horn running at some random track with his buddy, and in the background of the video we saw Tata Sontag, and then we had this weird, what you call it, tinfoil hat discussion that, okay, 18 is the last pro line guy out here. Maybe it's actually that TLR is gonna dump Phend, but they'll still put some new, fresh two guys in the oven. They're gonna get Horn, get Tater, and they're gonna have these two big guys in 10 scale and they're up and comers in 8 scale. Well, clearly it doesn't look like that's gonna happen, because it seems like everybody is just out from TLR. So now I'm thinking Horn is already associated. Then it would seem natural for Tater to sort of buddy in with associated with Horn. I think that would be the natural progression for those two. But then I don't know. I think X-Ray is already really full. Associated, they are full, but the thing is, like, drivers like Bada and these guys, they're very west. They're like all the way down the west. And I think there is room for Associated to spread more in the east. I don't know how long Evans is gonna be in the team. I don't know, like, what's his future plan. And I think they need more than Rivkin at the top consistently. Maybe Tater and Aiden could be those two guys. When they work together, they improve together. Who knows? I think Associated seems like probably the best option for Tater, but I doubt he'd be getting a good paycheck from them because their team is already quite large.
That's why I think Schumacher is a logical destination for him.
I think so too, and I think
Schumacher's fishing.
I think if he wants to get to do this as a professional, he goes to Schumacher. And I don't know if he actually wants to do 8 scale. I bet he does. Because he's gonna be wanting to be a full-time pro, and in America you have to do 8 scale to be able to do that, and that limits his options a lot. It limits his options a lot, and I don't really know. Mugen ain't gonna pick him up. He's not good enough. Where
no, but Mugen has their 10 scale.
Yeah, that's true. They wouldn't pick someone up just for 8 scale at this point. So there really aren't, like, maybe someone like Sparko. I don't know, but
yeah, Sparko is an option.
It would have to be one of those. Mayako is, yeah, but I doubt that would happen. But I don't know. It's a tough one because there was a time where you could run a Yoko or a Schumacher, and that's fine. You could just run some other brand for 8 scale. Maybe he's gonna go to Kyosho. Who knows? They don't have a 10 scale anymore.
That's a good option too.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know the area. Like, is he close to Lutz or Fee or anyone?
I don't know. He's up in Michigan, I want to say. I believe. I don't know, but it's going to be we're talking about a world champion here, right? So it's going to be interesting. All right. So let's move on to some other possible theories here. Oh, Cavallari is going to probably drive a Serpent for 8 scale next year.
Yeah,
remember that picture I sent you?
I tried to bring up the picture. Let me see.
All right, you bring it up.
We got some spy shots.
Absolutely. So, all right, but hers not. All right, well, because I want to wrap this up. Let's get into the real tinfoil crazy stuff here. Now, I haven't really heard much. Obviously, the biggest news that I'm hearing is about Phend and what he's going to do and all that type of stuff. But I'm hearing that Tebow is going to come out of retirement.
Really? This is officially titled the crazy section because why?
I think he misses. I think he wants to. I don't think he's going to come out and do a full schedule, but he's going to do races And I think what T-Bird's got going on with the coaching, he's onto something really, really. I think he's onto something here. But I think he wants to race again. I think he wants to make some money at it and to subsidize. Like if he could do JTP, the coaching, and racing, he could subsidize and still stay in RC. I think he's coming back out on a shorter schedule. His, not a full blown 2-3 weekends a month, 2 weekends a month. So I could see it happening. It's rumors right now. I haven't really, heard too much from him about it. But you see him testing those Nova engines.
Yeah.
So
And he's been raised because there was a time where he started selling Tekno again, building Tekno kits. Then
what if he goes to
then there was this can't remember what time of the year it was, but it was around before the Worlds. He raced at this track was it his home track? Fuller was there. Some of these decent fast guys were there, at least Fuller. And he did well. I can't remember if he beat at least one of the brothers. So he is racing at a decent level, but I don't know. Like, I don't think Tekno would pick him up full time. They might pick him up as like a part-time racer, part-time distributor.
I didn't say Tekno. Tekno.
You think it would be someone else?
What car did he like when he was driving Mayako?
I don't know.
What company has given us a cease and desist?
Really?
HB.
I don't know.
I think we might see him in a HB.
But HB,
because the HB diehards all keep saying big news coming. I have a feeling.
But okay, so it would be Tebow, but isn't it Chad Phillips still leading HB?
Yeah.
I don't think those two. To me, it sounds like those two are like JQ and Tebow all over again.
No. I think. Well, remember, Tebow was running the Hot Buddies Truggy while he's running Mayako. So I think it's a possibility if he does come out of retirement. And another thing, we touched on this the last podcast, is about Joe Bornhorst. He's another conundrum. So another racer that has had a baby here recently. All things point that he's out of RC on a professional level and doing a full-time job, maybe racing part-time to enjoy himself or whatever. But there's like, who knows? What if something opens for Joe Bornhorst like at TLR?
No, I don't think so. If because it was weird, because there was a time when we talked again that he was going to Europe. He was doing a lot of like administrative S-Works duties. It didn't feel like he was just a racer at one point. But now it seems like all of that has disappeared. He's not racing that much anymore.
He's not racing at all. He did an oval race the other day. He was at an oval race.
Yeah, so I don't really know. Like, is he just gonna get a regular job, or?
I think he's just gonna get a regular job and do RC for fun.
Yeah, it's weird. So there was a time where I was like, it looked like it was a done deal that he's just gonna move to a team manager role, but seems like not happening. So maybe it's just he's just out altogether.
It's a grind, dude. Out there trying to make a paycheck and make a living at this, and then I'm telling you, once that baby comes along, it's different. It's different. And I wish Bornhorst the best. No, I wish him the best and whatever he does, if it's full-time work or if he stays in RC, I wish him the best. I haven't heard any more SillySeason news. Now that when you're the king, people don't tell you as much or you don't hear as much, but you get little snippets here. You know what? I have my birds in many places. I heard Mayaka's trying to get a top driver too.
Mayaka,
so we'll see how that all works out.
Getting a top driver, but I don't know if I should say anything more, because like I know who they were trying, but to me it seems like it's not maybe going through after all. So I don't know what's the deal with anything. There was a driver had tested the Mayaka car, a top driver.
I heard.
And one like a real top driver. I'm not saying like, oh, this is good. A driver who can win and has won before.
Yep.
But I don't know if that's going through. And I don't know if there's alternatives to him.
Yeah, I don't know either. We're kind of outsiders on that now, so we don't know.
Yeah. All I've heard was the name, but nothing else really.
Yeah, I agree. But I regress on my argument that I made about Mayako on the last podcast, is that I think they survive not having a top driver for the next year or two more than TLR does, to an extent. Because they can also focus on getting the full product line out, let the e-Truggy and Truggy, which is important. I know you don't like it, but it's important, and so we'll see how it all happens.
I'm the main designer on the Truggy, dude. I have been actively.
Guy hates Truggy.
I have
Guy hates Truggy, but it's the main designer.
Still being work for the Truggy. Hopefully, we're gonna get it out soon. It's gonna be for MPC for 2025, but hopefully we get at least that out, and then we can get the full kit out. But it's been tough.
Awesome.
It's been tough, but I think we have a working product. We just need to get everything out there.
Yeah, I don't really have any more SillySeason news or anything else to say. For that, I think it's been a good chatting with you, Max. The next time we'll chat, I'll be in a new studio because I'm actually moving house because my house is still under 6 inches of water right now. So right now, my wife's moving us as we speak. When I get back, and yeah, it was a good chat with you. Everybody gets excited about SillySeason, but the race is just starting. It's just not even, SillySeason's for the long haul. It's gonna heat up over the next month, going into January, and we'll stay on top of it as much as we can. We need to organize a Christmas show. We have a lot of stuff to do when I get back. First, I need to get settled and moved into my place. So that's what I'm going to be doing when I get home. Yeah. Because I can't live in a place with 6 inches of water. My house had 6 inches of water for the last 2.5 weeks.
You've been in Florida, dude. That's basically like 6 inches of water everywhere. And alligators in there.
Yeah, I saw an alligator the other day. There's one right outside in the pond here in Mills Pond. Max, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Remember, keep up the good work, Max. We're going to have a busy 2025. We've got some cool things planned for the No Name RC podcast. We hope you guys enjoyed this. What do you think about our SillySeason predictions? We will touch on Touring Car Worlds. We will touch on the awesome, extensively and properly attended 56 entry IC Touring Car Worlds that they had 2 weeks ago that nobody even really knew was going on because there was zero coverage.
No live stream, nothing.
But congratulations to Giles Gromkamp who won it. Gromkamp and one of your Jills, and then what's his name? Timo Lino was also fast.
Dude, he is always incredibly fast in qualifying. I think it's the second time he's TQ'd the 10 scale IC Worlds. But like, what was it? 2 minutes into the main, he rolls it over and then ends up DNFing. It's same thing as last time. It's tough. It's tough because he's an old guy. He's not getting many chances anymore, and he's incredibly talented, still incredibly fast. And I was really hoping him to be able to bring it home, but not meant to be. Well, but Gilles,
we hope you.
Another.
Where's he from?
Netherlands.
Holland. Okay.
Yeah,
we hope you got.
He won his first world title in 2012. That was in Netherlands. So 12 years between his world titles. That's quite
impressive.
Quite a gap. I think Naoto probably would have been the favorite to win had he not had a DNF. I don't know if he, because obviously I didn't have a chance to watch the main. I don't know if he was in the lead.
I think anybody had a chance to watch the moto. Nobody had a chance to watch it.
Yeah, nobody did have.
Only the 56 drivers, the 112 people that were there, because the 56 drivers was the mechanic. I'm sure there was more people there. A beautiful facility though, indoor asphalt track in Thailand. Awesome, huge. But with that said, I want to thank everybody for the continued support. Big shout out to our patrons and YouTube members. If you guys wish to support the podcast a little bit more, I just put up some new logos we got going for next year as well. And I'm also coming up with some patron only logos. So the patrons have gotten early access to that. If you guys want the vector files and all that stuff, you can let me know to put it onto your rides next year. Be the first people to be rocking the new NNRC logos next year. We appreciate that. But also the patron helps us out a lot. And we appreciate it if you go over there. Don't forget to hit that sub, like, and notification button right here. We're at 6,200. The goal is to be at 7,000 by June. I hope we reach that before. 10K is the goal. 10,000 subs on YouTube is the goal. We greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to, if you're listening to us on the audio only, don't forget to leave us a review. Give us a share, man. It helps us out. Share us out to all of your groups and all that stuff. And yeah, we got some exciting things going on. Big shout out to the NNRC squad. If you're a company, you wish to advertise on this, hit us up. We have plans for everything. We have short campaigns, long campaigns. We'll work with you if you're a small company, product releases, all that type of stuff. We're actually working on our first product, which will be that mag break stuff. I'm talking to him, and he's about getting ready to release that stuff, and he wants to do a whole show on it. So It's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. Max, thank you for your time. All to my American friends, if you're listening to this, I'm recording on Thanksgiving. I'm going out to dinner here shortly. We thank you guys for all the support. We can't do it without you. And a big shout out to these companies that make it happen. They're Invisible Speed, High Tech RC, Hot Race Tires, Corsa Tech USA, Sidewinder Fuel, Mayako, Beach RC, Tekno RC, Clinic RC, Racecraft USA. Big shout out to Elite RC Productions. Shout out to our drivers. Shout out to our affiliate companies too. We have links for all of this in the written description of this podcast. Click on those links. If it doesn't give you a coupon code or affiliate link, just say, hey, we heard about you on the No Name RC podcast. With that said, Max and second in command, Max, we're out. And Max, I need to find that intro because you're so much better at finding, I'm so much better at finding all this stuff than me, but you did. But you're not better than me than doing the whole intro thing because we're out. Lefty and Max, we're out.